Chapter 488. The big show ended with Shen Mo leaving in a sorry state. He was in a dispirited mood at this time and had forgotten to settle accounts with Ningxiang. Ningxiang was also in a daze as Chuanxue helped her back to the palace. What she heard today was really too unbelievable. The person Shen Mo found for the imperial noble consort was actually his twin brother. At that time, she vaguely heard Shen Mo call that person imperial brother. Don't spread what happened today. Ningxiang warned Chuanxue. Once this secret was spread, what awaited her was death. Now her mind was in a mess and she didn't know what to do. She originally wanted to destroy Shen Mo's hope, but she didn't expect so many things to happen that she couldn't clean up. Chuanxue was also very scared. She knew that the imperial noble consort was arrogant, but she never knew that the other party was so arrogant that she was not afraid of anything. In front of the emperor, she dared to say that she was going to make him a cuckold. Chuanxue suddenly felt that she was really lucky to come back alive from the imperial noble consort's place last time. Chuanxue nodded, turned around, and went out to warn the others. After a while, she hurried back. Ningxiang's heart sank. What's wrong? Niang, I'm afraid that we can't hide it anymore. The imperial noble consort took that person for a walk in the imperial garden openly, completely ignoring the eyes of others. Ningxiang stood up and said in disbelief, "Is she crazy?" Everyone watched the emperor return to his bedchamber. Now that she took that person to the imperial garden, wouldn't it be evidence for others to catch? She doesn't want to live anymore. Ningxiang didn't understand how there could be such an arrogant and wanton person in the harem. She was not afraid of anything and didn't care about anything. She only wanted a moment of pleasure. Consort Mengde and Consort Yin Shufei also heard the news. It was said that the imperial noble consort and a man who looked exactly like the emperor snuggled up to each other and strolled in the imperial garden. She couldn't walk, so the man had to carry her. When she took a fancy to a beautiful flower, the man put her aside and walked into the flowers to pick flowers for her. Everyone thought that the imperial noble consort was crazy. Those who were timid didn't dare to come and take a look for fear of being silenced. Meng Defei, Yin Shufei, and the others had come. From afar, they could see the imperial noble consort being carried by that man. That man was using Qinggong to step on the surface of the water, carrying her as he ran. She was wrapped around his neck, smiling with her eyes curved. From time to time, she would whisper a few words in his ear. It was unknown what she was saying, but that man also smiled happily. There was a hint of evil at the corner of his mouth, which was very different from Shen Mo. This scene caused everyone to freeze in place. Imperial Gui Fei is smiling so happily. He Zhaoyuan commented, "I've never seen her smile so happily before. This is the real her. Sister Consort De, what do you think of this matter?" Yin Shufei was a little worried. Has this Imperial Gui Fei really gone crazy? Otherwise, how could she dare to have an affair with another man in this back garden? Consort Mengde shook her head, "I don't know, but I don't think the Imperial Gui Fei is that simple. Let's wait and see. Mie, bring me up." Tangguo had already noticed the people over there. Lying on Shen Mie's back, she hugged his neck and whispered in his ear. Shen Mie tapped his feet and quickly leaped into the pavilion, carefully putting her down. Consort Mengde and the others all saw this scene. They looked at each other and finally walked into the pavilion. At first, no one spoke. It was Yin Shufei who couldn't help but ask, "Sister Imperial Gui Fei, you are?" Chapter 489. Coming out to play with Mie. Tangguo smiled slightly and introduced him to them. He's called Shen Mie, Shen Mo's older brother. He was also the gift that Shen Mo gave Ben Gong on the day he wanted to serve Ben Gong. Ben Gong was very satisfied and kept him by my side. When the words fell, the faces of the imperial concubines present all paled. The information in this sentence was too much. Let them digest it. This man was personally given to Imperial Gui Fei by His Majesty. This sentence exploded in the minds of the imperial concubines. What did this mean? They widened their eyes, wanting to get more information from Tangguo. If it really was as they thought, they really didn't know what to say. The Imperial Gui Fei was really too pitiful. That's enough, don't look so pitiful. This queen is doing very well. I already said that I'm very satisfied with our Mie. Tang Guo chuckled softly. You'll get used to it in the future. The concubines hurriedly shook their heads. No, they weren't used to it at all. The Imperial Gui Fei had an adulterer, and it was even a gift from His Majesty. If this was spread, it couldn't be hidden anymore. Imperial Gui Fei, those officials probably won't let you off. Meng De Fei reminded in a small voice, you should think of a way. You don't have to worry about that. Yin Shu Fei interjected, I see that this one's martial arts isn't bad. Let him take you and escape. His Majesty is heartless to you. You don't need to be lectured. Leave the Imperial Palace, leave this dirty place, and live a life that belongs to you. All right, don't try to persuade me. Leave, Ben Gong won't leave. Tang Guo hurriedly shook her head, this Imperial Gui Fei's life is extravagant. I'm not willing to give it up. Leaving the Imperial Palace means eating dirt. I won't do it. The Imperial concubines were speechless. You're already like this and you're still not willing to give up the splendor and wealth. You have to be alive. But seeing that Tang Guo wasn't listening, they didn't know what to say. By now, the news should have spread outside. Then they finally understood why the Imperial Gui Fei said that she was satisfied with Shenyuan Mie. This person was truly too considerate. He clearly looked like such a noble person, but he only lowered his head in front of the Imperial Gui Fei. He considerately poured tea for her and would whisper in her ear to show his concern for her. When the wind blew, he would even ask the Imperial Noble Consort if she was cold. When he protected the Imperial Noble Consort, he really treated her like a treasure. Concubine Meng De and the others looked at each other. If there was a man who treated them like this every day, they would not be able to control themselves. Compared to the cold and heartless emperor, the man in front of her was obviously more attractive. They had long given up on Shenyuan Mo, but the way the man in front of them treated the Imperial Noble Consort made them think that if they had not entered the palace, would there also be such a person who treated them with care and gentleness? Soon, they came back to their senses. No, it couldn't be. They were all young ladies from prestigious families. Even if they didn't enter the palace, the people they married were either well-matched in social status or from noble families. It was already good enough for their future husband to treat them with respect. This man named Shenyuan Mie was clearly a special case in the heavenly Qin kingdom. As for those aristocratic sons, which one of them didn't have multiple wives and concubines? They definitely wouldn't be as considerate as the other party. On the contrary, as the matriarch, no matter how tired they were, they had to work hard to maintain the relationship between the two families for the sake of their family and their reputation. To deal with all sorts of complicated matters in the family, to avoid causing trouble for their husbands, and to frequently go out to make friends with noble ladies. Just thinking about it made them tired. If they really had to live such a life, it would be better to live leisurely and happily in the palace. The Imperial Noble Consort had suffered a lot to get what she had today. When they thought of how Shenyuan Mo had personally sent a man to the Imperial Gui Fei, they felt a chill in their hearts. Chapter 490. The Imperial Noble Consort openly strolled in the Imperial Garden with a man who wasn't the emperor. Her intimate behavior was known by everyone in less than half a day. When the officials heard this news, they all thought it was unbelievable. Even if they wanted to spread rumors, they shouldn't do something so unbelievable. Although they really wanted to drag the Imperial Noble Consort out and kill her. However, they soon discovered that this matter was true. The matter spread too quickly. By the time Shenyuan Mo reacted, it was too late. Previously, he was disappointed. Even if the Imperial Noble Consort pointed at his nose and scolded him, and the two of them were dazzling in public, he didn't think of revealing this matter. Instead, he tried hard to convince himself that he had let her down. He personally sent his imperial brother over, and all of this was indeed his fault. Her current behavior was all because of his actions that made her bitterly disappointed. He didn't think of doing anything to her at all. However, she didn't seem to care about anything. After everything was settled, she wantonly sought pleasure with his imperial brother in the imperial garden, regardless of the many eyes in the palace. When this matter happened, Shen Yuanmo's first thought was how to protect her. He smiled bitterly. If he knew this would happen, why did he do it in the first place? Perhaps this was retribution. Mo and Ningxiang looked at the man sitting on the dragon throne with a pained expression. Her heart also ached. Are you thinking of how to protect the imperial noble consort? Actually, I didn't expect the imperial noble consort's personality to be so unrestrained. She's really bold. And Ningxiang stood below and didn't walk towards Shen Yuanmo. I especially envy her because she can like someone to the extreme. If she doesn't like that person, she can also take revenge to the extreme. She can ignore everything and just do what she wants. If she doesn't like someone, then she doesn't like that person. If she likes someone, then she likes that person. I have to admit, Mo, the imperial noble consort is a good person. It's your loss to lose this person. And Ningxiang smiled softly. Even though she already likes your elder brother, you can't bear to do anything to her. However, she doesn't seem to appreciate your feelings. Mo, look, how deeply you've hurt this person. I admit that at first, I was very jealous of her and was on guard against her. I even wished that you could cripple her. Ever since I heard what she said that day, I realized that she was even more pitiful than I was. She clearly knew everything, but she didn't say anything. You were so cruel to her, but when she still liked you, she was still willing to do as you said. If it were me, I might not be able to do it. From the very beginning, when I knew the truth, I would have restrained my heart and become an indifferent person. I would have guarded my own land and watched from the sidelines. I would have watched those people in the palace fight and pushed them from behind. I will never believe that love is 30% true to you and 70% false. There will be no such thing as pure love anymore, just to keep your position. As for her, she gradually forgot her love for you and turned around to find her love even more. And Ningxiang suddenly laughed. She is really special. Even though she was hurt so deeply, she still believes in love. I stood far away in the corner of the imperial garden and watched the two of them get along. It was really enviable. Mo, your elder brother really treats her very well. You didn't lose unjustly. I also realized that although she took revenge on you, she truly likes Shen Yuanmie. The way she looks at Shen Yuanmie is full of love. You have already completely lost her. Enough. Shen Yuanmo patted the dragon table with a sullen face. You came just to say this? Chapter 491. I just want to tell Mo that a person like you is not worthy of the purest love. And Ningxiang stared at Shen Yuanmo and sighed. In the future, I won't come looking for you again. I'll listen to you and be a good empress. I won't expect your favor anymore. You don't have to worry about what I'll do to the imperial noble concubine. And Ningxiang whispered, a person like her is transparent and intelligent. In fact, I've never been her match. Even though I'm the empress and she's just an imperial noble concubine, I can't learn her willfulness, arrogance, and domineeringness, and I don't dare to learn it. Shen Yuanmo was stunned. And Ningxiang smiled at him and turned to leave without hesitation. It was as if her previous gentleness had disappeared at this moment. He frowned in discomfort. And Ningxiang shouldn't be someone he liked. It was just a mistake. He wouldn't have any other thoughts about a Ningxiang. Could it be that the other party thought that saying these words would remind him of something? No, it couldn't be. It was impossible for him to have any thoughts about a Ningxiang. He should be thinking about how to protect the imperial noble concubine. The courtiers outside should be very excited to hear this news, right? That's right, they finally had something on the imperial noble concubine. They could take advantage of the opportunity to ask him to execute the imperial noble concubine. Your Majesty, this is bad. The ministers have gathered many commoners and are kneeling at the entrance of the palace. They want you to punish the imperial noble concubine. Eunuch Li ran in with a head full of sweat. As he wiped his sweat, he said in a trembling voice. He felt bitter in his heart. What was going on? The imperial noble concubine. There was no need to fight to the death like this. Shen Yuanmo was furious. Let them kneel. Your Majesty, there are ministers who even brought their swords. They said that if you don't execute the imperial noble concubine, blood will splash the palace gate. This time, the courtiers were all serious. Which courtier in the heavenly Qin kingdom could tolerate the matter of the imperial noble concubine? She had an adulterer, but instead of hiding it, she had to show it to everyone. This was a challenge to the prestige of the heavenly Qin kingdom. No one could tolerate it. It was said that the commoners outside scolded even more harshly. There were even people who spontaneously organized to write blood letters, all of them wanting to execute the imperial noble concubine. Shen Yuanmo's eyes were a little swollen, and a cold smile appeared on his lips. Then let them die. Your Majesty. Eunuch Li was shocked. He never thought that the emperor would not do anything to imperial concubine Nyang at this time. Shen Yuanmo felt bitter in his heart. He really didn't want to do anything to the imperial noble consort. In fact, he didn't dare to do anything to her. Since his imperial brother dared to be so arrogant, he must have something to rely on. His imperial brother had always planned before acting. He would not give anyone the chance to hurt her. I heard that many people want to execute me. Tang Guo sat on the swing leisurely while Shen Yuanmie pushed her gently from behind. Mai Lan and Mai Qing stood on both sides of her. Both of them were very calm and were not worried about the situation outside at all. In her heart, she thought that it wasn't their imperial concubine's fault. Those people might not know that it was Shen Yuanmo's fault that caused all of this, right? It was truly laughable. How could the people of this world be so foolish when they were all cursing their imperial concubines? This couldn't help but remind them of some dynasties in the past. There would always be a few enchantresses who would bring calamity to the country and the people. They would be cursed by the world for causing the destruction of the country. Now that they thought about it, it was truly laughable. How could a woman of the palace have the ability to threaten the survival of an entire country? It was just a few incapable members of the royal family. The Marquis avoided his own mistakes and placed this pot of shit on the woman. It was as disgusting as it could be. Chapter 492. Empress, there are already people gathered outside the palace gates. The citizens of the imperial city have also put down everything in their hands and knelt outside the palace gates, begging the emperor to execute you. Mai Lan's lips curled into a mocking smile as she reported in a low voice, it is said that outside the imperial city, there are also citizens who can't enter the city. They have been kneeling for half a day with white scarves written in blood on their heads. Tang Guo couldn't help but laugh. Then my ability is really amazing. I can actually make the citizens not work and the officials not do anything. Their only goal is to kill me, and they even came up with such a method. It's really hard on them. Why don't those fart citizens think about what they should do to improve their lives today? They even want to carry out a citywide campaign to execute the imperial noble consort. Did they cook for the children and elders at home? Can they eat their fill and wear warm clothes? They do these meaningless things all day long. No wonder they are all fart citizens. Mai Lan and Mai Qing laughed as well. That's right, they heard that there were some youths who couldn't even solve the pot at home. They left their bedridden mothers behind and hurriedly tore a piece of white cloth, bit their fingers and wrote a few words in blood. They wrapped it around their heads and shouted outside the imperial city, I beg the emperor to execute a woman like the imperial noble consort, who brings disaster to the country and the people. It was really comical. The imperial city is packed with people. Mai Qing added, Empress, when do we start? After saying that, she and Mai Qing looked at each other, their eyes shining with excitement. They had been waiting for this day for a long time. Since there are people outside the imperial city, it must be very lively outside the palace gates. Tang Guo stood up and grabbed Shen Yuanmie's hand. She smiled, Mie, let's go to the city walls and meet these people who want to kill me. All right. Shen Yuanmie was especially excited. After today, everyone would know him and know that he was the imperial noble consort's man. Just thinking about it made him feel especially emotional. He carefully held the woman's hand and held it tightly in his palm. A warm feeling flowed through his heart. He was really happy. She actually wanted to announce their relationship in such a way. This was even more comfortable than marrying him and holding a wedding. The wedding was only for a fixed number of people, and she wanted to use this opportunity to announce it to the entire Tianqin kingdom. Guo this was his Guo, the woman who made him dizzy. The imperial concubines had been paying attention to Tang Guo's movements. When they heard someone report that she was going to the city gate, they were all shocked. The timid ones hurriedly closed the palace doors and pretended not to know anything, secretly ordering people to watch. Meng Defei, who was more daring, thought for a while and decided to follow Tang Guo up the city wall. Tang Guo looked back at the imperial concubines who had followed her and stopped in her tracks. Have you all thought about the consequences of following me? Those idle people won't be merciful to you. It's not easy to find something that can be used against those high and mighty people. They will curse me and you with all their might. They might even write you into the unofficial history books. In any case, I'll be locked up in the palace for the rest of my life. They can scold me all they want. Yin Shufei said unconcernedly, Imperial Gui Fei isn't afraid, so what are we afraid of? With you at the top, if the sky falls, you'll be the first to be hit. Can't we just watch the show? That's right, Imperial Gui Fei. How can we miss such a lively event? Meng Defei added. Tang Guo observed their small movements. Some of them clenched their hands tightly, while others pursed their lips tightly. Their faces were slightly pale, and their legs were trembling. She shook her head and laughed. What a group of women who said one thing and meant another. However, it also meant that she did not do it in vain. These smart women were very aware. All right, if you want to follow me, then follow me. The group of people arrived at the city wall. There was a commotion outside the palace gate. It was all calls to execute the Imperial Gui Fei. The moment Tang Guo stood up, the voices below fell silent. Chapter 493. Outside the palace gates, there were members of the royal family, powerful courtiers, well-reputed noble families, scholars, and street vendors. Tang Guo swept past them one by one. She even saw a group of women dressed in colorful clothes. They were led by a gorgeously dressed middle-aged woman. They were kneeling in a small corner. She couldn't help but smile. Her smile was as beautiful as a flower, and it almost stole the souls of many of the scholars below. They quickly came to their senses and glared at the woman on the wall with red faces and anger. You are the imperial noble consort who cheated the harem? A courageous scholar stood up and angrily pointed at Tang Guo and scolded, how can there be such a lewd and unsightly woman in this world? How can you still have the face to live? If you jumped down from the wall, you could still save some face for General Tang. Your actions today are a disgrace to General Tang's loyalty. Your existence is an insult to the entire Tang clan. That's right, Imperial Noble Consort. Please kill yourself. Don't bring shame to the Tang clan. There is no such person in the Tang clan. General Tang also doesn't have such a woman. As a woman, I really feel ashamed for you. This was a woman dressed in luxurious clothes. Her status should be higher. She looked at Tang Guo as if she was ashamed of her. There shouldn't be someone like her among women. Her existence was a disgrace to all women in the world. Countless people agreed with her. Tang Guo looked indifferently at these people who were angry out of humiliation and cursed without any morals. Although she didn't care, Shen Yuan couldn't stand it anymore. If she hadn't held him back, he would have jumped down and killed those people on the spot. Behind him, Consort Meng De, Consort Yin Shu, and the others also turned pale. Countless coldness rose in their hearts. Listening to these unbearable words, their eyes turned red. Some imperial concubines stood behind and secretly wiped their tears. They cursed the imperial noble consort like this, but how could they know who caused all this? It was the emperor they respected, the person who was held in the highest position by them. They looked at the woman who stood at the front. Her expression didn't change at all despite the curses. The corners of her mouth seemed to be slightly raised with a smile. This made them feel even more uncomfortable. If they were the ones standing there, they would have jumped down the wall in humiliation and done as they wished. But the imperial noble consort wasn't. She was like a high and mighty queen looking down on all living things. At this moment, they felt that she was so delicate, but also very powerful. An hour passed. They cursed for an entire hour. Suddenly, they found that the demoness on the wall was actually smiling at them. She wasn't ashamed of their words at all. This woman's shamelessness has reached such a level. I've seen it for myself. When Tangwa heard this, she couldn't help but laugh out loud. That's because you're short-sighted. There are many things about this consort that you haven't seen yet. You fart commoners, open your dog eyes and take a good look. This consort doesn't care at all how you curse this consort today. Tangwa smiled. The sun is already up. Let this consort give you a piece of advice. Those who should go back to work, go back to work. You aren't this consort. You have endless glory, splendor, wealth, and money to spend. If you don't work for a day, how will your families live? Scholars below, instead of cursing this consort here, why don't you read a few more books and broaden your horizons? Hearing your words, this consort is worried about your future. You're all fine scholars, but you're cursing like a shrew. This consort has seen it all. Chapter 494. Aren't you studying for fame and fortune? It's said that there's a house of gold in the books, and there's a beauty like jade. Do you think you can be conferred the title of Marquis by scolding me here? Wake up. Why don't you go back and read books for the country and the people and get a good name first? Do you feel that it's especially satisfying to scold a woman like me? Do you feel a sense of accomplishment? Do you think that so what if you're the high and mighty Imperial Gui Fei? You'll still be scolded to death. Alright, I won't die. I'll live well. Are you angry? Fly up and chop me. I'm standing right here. Come if you have the ability. Tangwa drew her soft sword and slashed at the city wall. A huge hole was instantly cut open in the stone. Gravel flew down, shocking everyone. I've killed people before. Back then, when Shenyuan Mo was assassinated, more than half of the 20 or so death warriors had their throats slit by me. She raised her eyebrows and glanced at the pale-faced scholars who hurriedly retreated. She chuckled softly. What, are you afraid? You didn't expect me to have such martial arts skills, right? I've already said that your knowledge is too shallow. You've read so many books for so many years, but what have you read? Like everyone else, you've only seen the surface. Haven't you thought about the secrets hidden within? Haven't you ever thought about why I, a dignified Imperial Gui Fei, would seek pleasure with other men who aren't the Emperor, and even stroll around the Imperial Garden in such a high-profile manner? If this matter were to spread, wouldn't it be used against me? There are too many people in the heavenly Qin kingdom who want to kill me. Am I so stupid as to let you grab hold of my weakness? Isn't it your nature to be lustful? Someone mustered up their courage and said. Tangwa shook her head and chuckled. I'm already an Imperial Gui Fei. Why would I do such a thing? I might even be written into history and be scolded for thousands of years. Why do I have to do this? Don't listen to her nonsense. She's trying to clear her name. Tangwa looked at that person and chuckled. As a woman, you actually can't tolerate me like this. You're dressed extraordinarily, so you should be the madam of some marquis, right? What? You can't bear to see me act so recklessly and disregard the advice of the world. Don't worry, there are still many things that you won't be able to see in the future. You won't be able to correct me in this lifetime. Since this consort dares to stand here today, this consort isn't afraid of being scolded or pointed out. You can write poems, make up songs, and use all sorts of words to scold this consort. This consort won't be vexed because of this. Instead, this consort will use all her strength to mock you, a bunch of foolish commoners. When everyone heard the woman's words, their faces turned pale. In the past, no matter which woman it was, after being scolded a little, they would not be able to take it anymore. They would either jump into the lake or hang themselves at home. They really didn't think that after being scolded by the entire city, she would still be able to scold them back with a smile. This woman who scolded them until they were speechless, her skin was really thicker than the city walls. Shenyuan Mo rushed over and heard the scene of the woman cursing at the countless people below. Facing the curses of countless people, not only did her expression not change, she even had a mocking look and looked down on everyone. He stood still and clenched his fists. She was so attractive. Why didn't he notice it before? His eyes stung. Wasn't everything that happened today caused by him? There are women in the brothel below, right? Did you come here to see that the high and mighty Imperial Gui Fei is actually inferior to you? Tangguo stared at the group of women. No, this consort is different from you. This consort doesn't despise your status, but wants to mock your actions of coming here. Chapter 495. Your Majesty the Emperor is here. When Shenyuan Mo arrived, Tangguo had already noticed him. Next, let him come up and say a few words for you. Didn't you want him to execute me? Now, you can kneel down and beg. Draw your swords and commit suicide. Splash your blood on the palace gate and use this to threaten him to execute me. Shenyuan Mo dragged his heavy steps to Tangguo's side. At this time, Shenyuan Mie, who had been standing at the back, also came to Tangguo's side and held her waist possessively. The two people who looked exactly the same really surprised the people below. How could this be? Why did that man look exactly the same as the emperor? Shenyuan Mo was wearing a dragon robe. This man was wearing a black robe. Although the color was ordinary, it was obvious that the style was not simple. Although this man looked exactly the same as the emperor, his expression was very different. Most importantly, he stood on the city wall and acted intimately with the imperial noble consort, but the emperor did not get angry. What was going on? There were already many people who felt that something was amiss. Your Majesty, please execute the imperial noble consort. If you keep her here, you will bring shame to the entire royal family. For this old subject is willing to commit suicide on the spot. Your Majesty, the imperial noble consort cannot be left alive. Your Majesty, this chaos in the palace has brought shame to the entire Tianqin kingdom. Such a person cannot become the imperial noble consort. If you really want to let her go, wouldn't you be setting an example for all the women in the world? If all the women learn from her, the world will be in chaos. When Tangguo heard this, she laughed, old shameless. Only you, a man, are allowed to take in 18 concubines and visit the brothel as you please. As long as a woman does something out of line, you will fight against the heavens, the earth, and the air. Only when you kill her will you be satisfied. I think you're afraid. You're afraid that there won't be any more women who won't listen to you in the future. It's indeed a rather troublesome matter. But if you want to kill me, just come up and commit suicide on the spot. Try it. If you really cut your neck, I'll clap my hands for you and help you take care of the old and young at home. How about it? Seeing that person's flushed face with her own eyes, Tangguo was very happy. Your Majesty, do you want to make it clear to them? Are you going to execute me or let me go? Shenyuan Mo tasted bitterness in his mouth. He looked at the people who were looking at him agitatedly and was silent for a moment before saying, "We will not execute the imperial consort. If you are willing to commit suicide, then do so. If you want to kill yourselves, then kill yourselves. If you want to kill yourselves, then kill yourselves. Your Majesty, you can't. The imperial noble consort really can't be kept. Just how much soup did she feed you? If this continues, the might of the heavenly Qin Empire will be gone." Tangguo laughed in her heart. Wasn't it the might of the heavenly Qin Empire? They would know in a while. Your emperor doesn't dare to kill me. The reason for that is because he has wronged me. Shenyuan Mo clenched his fists but did not say anything to stop her. He was indeed the one who had wronged her. Today was her revenge. Even if he had to risk universal condemnation, disregard his own life, and make the whole country know about it, he still had to take revenge on him. It was obvious that she really hated him. Well, it was better for her to hate him than not care about him. His name is Shenyuan Mie. Tangguo introduced Shenyuan Mie to everyone. He's the only man I've ever had. Do you think these words are strange? Shouldn't my man be the emperor? Tangguo laughed. I'm really not afraid of you laughing at me. This really is a joke. Chapter 496. Listen well, this consort will only say it once. This consort dares to say it, so this consort isn't afraid of your curses. In the future, you can curse however you want. No matter how you curse, This consort will tell you right now that this consort will only have one man, Shenyuan Mie. Tang Guo glanced at the silent Shenyuan Mo with a cold smile. To be honest, this consort used to really love this emperor of yours. She chuckled softly when she saw Shenyuan Mo's expression. However, this consort doesn't love him anymore. Your emperor is an unreachable person. This consort can't afford to love him and doesn't dare to love him. Now, this consort only loves one person, and that's your emperor's twin brother, Shenyuan Mie. If you ask how we met, would you blame this consort for luring the harem? Tang Guo looked up at the quiet people below. As expected, people liked to listen to stories, especially stories about her, the imperial Gui Fei. Look at how quiet they were. In order to listen to the secret history of the palace, they actually stopped cursing her. Mie, this person, it was your emperor who personally sent him to this consort's bed. Countless people were shocked when they heard this. This was impossible. Absolutely impossible. This was everyone's reaction. They hurriedly looked towards Shenyuan Mo and saw that he actually didn't refute this. Their hearts sank. Could it be that this was true? Of course it's true. Tang Guo chuckled softly, her eyes filled with ridicule. Because he doesn't like this consort, he refused to serve this consort again and again. When this consort was of marriageable age and couldn't refuse anymore, he found Mie to replace him and be together with this consort. You all think that this consort is very favored, but you don't know that the person who comes to this consort every night isn't your respected emperor, but Mie. This consort isn't afraid of you knowing. This consort found out on the first day that Mie isn't Shenyuan Mo. We didn't do anything on the first day. At that time, this consort still had some hope. However, no matter how patient a person is, no matter how pure their infatuation, it will still be destroyed by reality. Of course, it's also easy to be moved by sincerity. This consort later found out that Mie is really good. When it's cold, he'll rub my hands to keep me warm. When it's rainy and my knees hurt, he'll carefully massage them. He's really meticulous with me. Compared to Shenyuan Mo's coldness, who wouldn't like this kind of person? He's full of good points. This consort truly thinks that he's very good. This consort has gradually forgotten about that cold and heartless person. Shenyuan Mo's throat was dry, but he did not refute. You can scold me all you want. I don't care. It was he, Shenyuan Mo, who was willing to wear the green hat, so I will do as he wished and let him wear it for the rest of his life. Everyone was already somewhat numb. The truth had indeed caught them off guard. Shenyuan Mo did not object. That tacit agreement made them feel somewhat uncomfortable in their hearts. Your Majesty, is this true? Some of the courtiers asked in disbelief. Shenyuan Mo was silent, which could be considered as tacit agreement. A few of the older courtiers couldn't take it and fainted. Regardless of whether it's true or not, we still suggest that the imperial noble consort be executed. Her methods are extreme and it's easy for her to lead the women of the world astray. If she doesn't set a good example, she must be executed. The truth that Tang Guo had revealed was a slap to their faces. Now, they wanted to execute her even more. Only with her death would this secret slowly disappear, and only then would it be able to cover up all of their foolish actions. Tang Guo smiled but did not answer. At this moment, a fast horse galloped over. The person on the horse shouted, Reporting to your Majesty, our Tianqin state is surrounded by a large number of troops. A large group of troops has also gathered outside the imperial city. Chapter 497. Countless people had yet to react as they stared blankly at the man who delivered the urgent report to the city gate. What? Thinking back, they were all in disbelief. The heavenly Qin kingdom was surrounded. The imperial city was also surrounded. Was this a joke? The heavenly Qin kingdom was a superpower. It was so big, how could it be surrounded? Also, how did the army outside the imperial city come? How could they come without a sound? This must be a joke. Someone must be joking. At this moment, they heard a loud bang. The huge tremor caused everyone in the imperial city to fall into panic. Their faces turned pale as they stabilized their bodies. Could it be that the earth was shaking? Soon, they realized that this was not an earthquake. The crowd behind them parted. The sound of wheels and horse hooves approached from afar. When they knew what it was, they felt dizzy. An army. Where did this large army come from? What was that pitch-black pillar that was placed on top of the handcart? Why did it feel so scary? The entire city, whether it was the commoners or the nobles, hurriedly made way, allowing the large group of people to arrive at the palace gate. At this moment, they saw a tall man riding a horse in front of them. He was fully armed and his face could not be seen clearly. However, that figure looked somewhat familiar. However, they could not see his appearance clearly and the time was too far away. For a moment, they could not remember where they had seen such a familiar figure. Xiao Guo. Suddenly, the man shouted. His voice was deep and filled with longing and love. Xiao Guo has been wronged. From now on, no one will dare to bully my Xiao Guo. Everyone was familiar with this voice. They were shocked. Wasn't this General Tang's voice? The courtiers' legs trembled. Why? Didn't General Tang die in battle? So many years had passed, but General Tang's reputation still intimidated them to the point of not daring to speak. If this person was General Tang, they looked at each other and silently lowered their heads. General Tang took off his helmet and revealed his original appearance. He looked at the woman on the city wall with a loving expression. Xiao Guo, come down. From now on, with father supporting you, no one will dare to bully you. Father. Tang Guo had a smile on her face as she called out in a crisp voice. Her obedient appearance was completely different from the arrogant and despotic imperial noble consort from before. She tugged at Shenyuan Mie beside her and said, Mie, take me down. I want to see father properly. Shenyuan Mie didn't care about the others. He grabbed her waist and jumped down from the city wall. He came to General Tang and bowed to him. Father-in-law, greetings. General Tang snorted and didn't say anything. He just went forward and hugged Tang Guo. After so many years, his little Guo could finally live as she wished. Now that he had the ability to protect her, he wasn't afraid of letting her do whatever she wanted in the heavenly Qin kingdom. He didn't feel guilty at all. First, he let down his family Tang. The person he Xiao Guo was Shenyuan Mo, the Shenyuan royal family. As long as these people knew what was good for them, he wouldn't do anything to the heavenly Qin kingdom. He only wanted his daughter to have a good time in the harem. I've been wronged. Tang Guo shook her head and said with a smile, No, I'm not someone who will suffer losses. I'm very happy with our Mie accompanying me. I'll live better than anyone else in the future. Father, you don't have to worry. General Tang choked up and patted her head. If this is what little Guo likes, then father will always be your backing. Do whatever you want. Chapter 498. Everyone in the city was still in shock. First, the imperial concubine revealed the truth of the palace. Then, General Tang came back from the dead with such a large army. They felt as if they were dreaming. This couldn't be real, right? However, everything in front of them told them that this was real. General Tang was not dead and had even surrounded the imperial city with an army. General Tang, are you rebelling? General Tang looked at the flustered and exasperated person and said with a smile, Rebellion? I really don't care at all. My great Tang dynasty doesn't need a mere heavenly Qin kingdom. What big words, a mere heavenly Qin kingdom. Wait, what great Tang dynasty? They looked at each other and couldn't help but glance at the army. Only then did they realize that there was a sail with the word Tang written on it. For some reason, they felt a little afraid and had an indescribable bad premonition. All of you, listen up. It's your Shenyuan royal family that has let down my Xiao Guo. You have let down me, Tang Feng, who has devoted half my life to the heavenly Qin kingdom. Today, I, Tang Feng, only want to say one thing. As long as you don't deal with my Xiao Guo, I won't do anything to the heavenly Qin kingdom. Once your heavenly Qin kingdom dares to do anything to my Xiao Guo, just wait for my great Tang dynasty's army to trample the heavenly Qin kingdom. Xiao Guo is the most honorable princess of my great Tang dynasty. Her status is more honorable than any of you, and you still want to execute her? Tang Feng sneered, Who is it? Stand out and let this emperor see. Everyone swallowed their saliva and hurriedly retreated. Tang Feng seemed to be unwilling to give up. He waved his hand and said, "Let these people see the capabilities of my great Tang dynasty." With that said, someone went to fiddle with the round pillar on the cart. The soldier ignited something and heard a familiar boom. The city wall not far away was blasted open, creating a hole. Rocks flew everywhere. The faces of the people standing nearby were scratched by small rocks. Facing this fierce weapon, no one was not afraid of retreating. Shenyuan Mie whispered into Tang Guo's ear, "Is this what's recorded in that book?" "Yes." Shenyuan Mie laughed and held his beloved's hand. "My Guo is so amazing. To be able to take out such a good thing. Ah Mie, you are from the heavenly Qin kingdom. Shouldn't you be as afraid as them now?" Tang Guo joked. Shenyuan Mie hugged her waist and said in a low voice, "I'm already married to Guo. I'm Guo's man and the man of the noblest princess of the Tang dynasty. What's there to be afraid of?" Tang Feng turned around and saw that the two of them were lovey-dovey. He was speechless, but when he thought about how this person who looked like Shenyuan Mo treated Xiao Guo well, he decided not to bicker. If this person did not exist, he did not know what Xiao Guo's life would be like in the future. Therefore, he drew a clear distinction between Shenyuan Mie and the Shenyuan royal family. Shenyuan Mie was different. He was someone who stood by Xiao Guo's side wholeheartedly. He was also someone that Xiao Guo liked. As a father, he could only stand behind her and protect her. This man could accompany Xiao Guo for the rest of his life and protect her at all times. With him around, this man would not dare to do anything. Shenyuan Mo was also dumbfounded. General Tang was still alive. He had even become the emperor of that great Tang dynasty. He had led an army to surround the imperial city and the entire Tianqin kingdom. All of this really felt like a dream. Why was he still so calm? Why wasn't he angry at all? Looking at that unknown weapon that could blast a huge hole in the city wall, he knew that Tang Feng wasn't exaggerating at all. With just this, it was only a matter of time before the other party took down the Tianqin kingdom. Chapter 499. General Tang, you have been loyal all your life. Why did you do such a treasonous thing? Tang Feng sneered. Treason? Treason? If it wasn't for my Xiao Guo's intelligence, I might have really been accused of treason by Shenyuan Mo men. Bring them all up here. Today, we will have a good talk about treason. Let's talk about how I, Tang Feng, have been loyal to the heavenly Qin kingdom all my life, but in the end, I was almost accused of treason. My Xiao Guo was also schemed against by a villain and almost never made a comeback. Even Tang Feng's eyes were red. She was labeled as a demoness who brought disaster to the country. You guys splashed all kinds of dirty water on Xiao Guo. You only know how to criticize her, but do you know who the mastermind is? Shenyuan Mo. Shenyuan Mo raised his head in a daze and clenched his fists without saying a word. Then, he heard Tang Feng say, I, Tang Feng, will not take your heavenly Qin kingdom. What happens to your heavenly Qin kingdom has nothing to do with me, Tang Feng. And my Xiao Guo will live in your harem from now on. All of you, come up and explain clearly to these ignorant people. Is it me, Tang Feng, who has let down the heavenly Qin kingdom, or is it the Shenyuan royal family who has let down me, Tang Feng, and my Xiao Guo? The few people who were brought up were submissive. In the end, they gave in and said, many years ago, we followed His Majesty's instructions and planned to frame him. Frame General Tang for treason. The person who spoke closed his eyes and finished his sentence in one breath. Who knew that General Tang would first be poisoned and then die in battle. That's why he didn't succeed. With that said, everyone was shocked as they looked at Shenyuan Mo, who was standing on the city wall, in disbelief. Was this really true? Seeing Shenyuan Mo's silence, their hearts sank. So it was true. The An family was also among them. The current situation had caught them off guard. Your Majesty personally sent a man to my Xiao Guo for the person he fancied. I, Tang Feng, have never done anything wrong to the Shenyuan royal family. I didn't expect to end up like this. Tang Feng sneered, in order to make a Ningxiang the empress, Yuan family actually sent men of sacrifice to assassinate Shen Yuan and used this as a catalyst to make a Ningxiang the empress. Back then, you were also involved in the framing, right? The members of the Yin family were all pale. They had done this very secretly, so how did Tang Feng know? Shen Yuan, who had been silent all this time, finally raised his head. His eyes were sharp as he looked at the Yin family. Did you send those men of sacrifice? But An Ningxiang did block the arrow for him. At that time, she was pregnant, so she blocked the arrow for him. Did she know or not? Does An Ningxiang know that you sent her? General An's face paled. Even this matter had been investigated. It could be seen that Tang Feng knew their movements like the back of his hand. Now that the other party was the emperor of a dynasty, the An family's power was gone. Ningxiang didn't know. General An seemed to have aged ahead. If she knew, she wouldn't be able to deceive His Majesty. It wasn't that he wanted to absolve An Ningxiang of her crime. An Ningxiang really didn't know. Today, the An family was going to be hated by His Majesty, so they could only rely on An Ningxiang. She was the empress, and she was pregnant with Shen Yuan's child. Shen Yuan's face paled as he took a step back. His entire person became dispirited, and his eyes lost their light. The onlookers didn't know what to say for a moment. Scolding the imperial noble consort, they felt at ease. In the end, it was all Shen Yuan's fault. If they scolded Shen Yuan, wouldn't they be scolding themselves as well? Chapter 500. The campaign to kill the imperial noble consort ended with Tang Feng's appearance and the Shen Yuan royal family losing face. Many scholars left with red faces, feeling that their faces were burning from being stared at. The peddler left with a smile. He never thought that the royal family would do such a ridiculous thing. The ministers left with sighs. The one who had sinned was the Shen Yuan royal family. It wasn't that they wanted to let the imperial noble consort off, but the current imperial noble consort was the princess of the Great Tang dynasty. If the Great Tang Emperor wanted to attack the heavenly Qin kingdom, what could they do? Now, there were more than 10 cannons outside the imperial city. If they angered the Great Tang Emperor, he would blast them to death if he was unhappy. The woman from the brothel stared at the woman on the city wall for a long time before reluctantly leaving. Thinking of her wanton behavior and her smile, they realized that they really shouldn't have come today. After living for so many years, she was the first woman who dared to publicly insult everyone and even one. There were also people who sighed. The imperial noble consort had a good father. With a single word from the Great Tang Emperor, the entire heavenly Qin kingdom didn't dare to do anything to her. They even had to flatter and worship her, afraid that she would be unhappy. Consort Yin Shu, Consort Mengde, and the others also recovered from their shock. What an imperial noble consort, what an emperor of Tang. They had really broadened their horizons and felt extremely refreshed. When An Ningxiang heard the rumors outside, the palace servants told her everything. After hearing it, she was in a daze. No one knew what she was thinking. Chun Shui, do you think such a person can be trapped in the harem? Why does she insist on staying in this world? Isn't it good outside? Chun Shui shook her head. She didn't understand. She didn't understand why the imperial noble consort wanted to stay here when she could leave and be the little princess of the Great Tang dynasty. An Ningxiang lowered her head and laughed. She really doesn't care about the eyes of the world and is also someone who holds grudges. She stayed here and was happy while making Shen Yuan feel uncomfortable. She made Shen Yuan live in pain forever and made everyone in the heavenly Qin kingdom live in her shadow. This woman is really gentle and ruthless. Throughout the history of the imperial concubines, only the Tang family's daughter is the most ruthless and the most capable. Think about it, who has a father like the Great Tang Emperor? In order to vent their anger, the father and daughter actually built a country. And Ningxiang laughed until tears rolled down her cheeks. I really admire you. I just don't know how much pain Shen Yuan must be feeling. I heard that the cannons can blast through the city walls with one shot. However, they didn't do that. They didn't attack the heavenly Qin kingdom and instead surrounded it. It was actually for the imperial noble consort to live comfortably in the harem. What should I say? I'm a little envious. Imperial noble consort has a good father. The An clan was exiled to a land of bitter cold, never to rise again. And Ning Xiong stroked her belly, narrowed her eyes, and smiled. Child, I only have you in the future. Bengong can't learn from the imperial noble consort, nor do I have her courage. What Bengong needs to do is to protect you as you grow up. Even if your father may not look at you, your mother will give you all her love. From that day onwards, Tang Guo was still addressed as the imperial noble consort, but she was no longer in her original palace. Tang Feng was extremely arrogant. He brought people in and found a good place to build a noble consort's residence for her. This angered the officials to the point of death, but what could they do? If Tang Feng wanted to, he could take down the entire Tianqin kingdom. When the time came, the people would be in chaos and the ones suffering would be the entire Tianqin kingdom. Fortunately, Tang Feng only built a noble consort's residence and did not interfere with anything else. Chapter 501. In less than 2 days, he left with his men and gave Tang Guo a command token for the army. The army set up camp outside the imperial city. Gradually, a city was built, Datang City. When they were free, they pretended to be ordinary people and started to make a living. However, the dazzling cannons still made the people of the imperial city live in fear and trepidation. Many people didn't say it, but they complained about Shenyuan Mo in their hearts. If it weren't for his selfishness, would he have to live under the shadow of being bombarded by cannons every day? Who dared to scold the imperial concubine? If the imperial concubine's men heard it, a cannon would blow their homes to smithereens. They didn't want to die. Later, a funny thing happened. Some people actually wrote songs and poems to praise the imperial concubine. Some people even made up stories. Unknowingly, countless people in the imperial city praised the imperial concubine as a woman with a true temperament. Not to mention other things, there were many women who stood up because of the imperial concubine. They couldn't bear it anymore and stood up bravely to face the injustice. Originally, the imperial concubine had nothing to do with this. These things could be suppressed. However, one day, the imperial concubine and her adulterer came out of the palace and happened to see a woman being beaten by her husband. She recognized the imperial concubine. That day, she knelt at the city wall and saw the imperial concubine's appearance. After hearing about the imperial concubine's deeds, she admired the imperial concubine's courage. She was beaten badly and didn't think too much. She rushed up and knelt in front of the woman. "Imperial concubine, I beg you, please save this commoner. What do you need this concubine to save you for?" She talked about her experience. She was beaten by her husband who liked to gamble all year round. In the past, the people around her would only persuade her. Who didn't live like this? If her husband beat her, then so be it. She still had to live her life behind closed doors. She just had to endure it. When she became a woman and her children grew up, her life would be better when her husband couldn't touch her and died. She used to think so too. However, the imperial concubine's life overturned her thoughts. Why? Why did she have to endure her husband's beatings? Why did her husband have to gamble with the money she worked so hard to earn? Why did she have to forgive her husband regardless of the consequences just because he said a few good words? Why did she have to think that her husband was a good person when he didn't gamble? Why did she have to endure all of this? Just because this person was occasionally good, she had to accept him as a jerk and a violent person for a lifetime? No, she didn't want to. You don't want to live with him anymore? Yes. The woman said firmly, although I have a pair of ugly hands, I can support myself and my children. Other than gambling, I really can't think of any other use for this man. After she finished speaking, she saw the woman sitting in the carriage gently smile. All right, this consort will help you get a divorce. Not only will this consort help you get a divorce, this consort will also let you live a life that everyone will envy. Later, she divorced her husband. With the imperial noble consort's deterrence, that man was also afraid of death. He was afraid of being bombarded, so he didn't dare to cause trouble for her at all. He didn't even dare to visit his child. Later, it was said that he owed too much money and was beaten to death by the Zhuang family. As for her, She was now the boss of a dye house and embroidery shop. She spent a lot of money to hire 50 guards. No matter where she went, she would have 10 guards following her. If anyone dared to say a word about her, her guards wouldn't be merciful. As expected, she lived a life that everyone envied. Chapter 502. The imperial noble consort was a legend. To the women in the imperial city and the entire heavenly Qin kingdom, the more they understood this woman, the more they admired her. No one dared to interfere with the imperial noble consort's tyranny in the heavenly Qin kingdom. As long as there were women in the heavenly Qin kingdom who sought justice, she would interfere. No one could do anything to her. When some of the unreasonable people heard that the imperial noble consort was involved in this matter, they immediately ran away in fear. Gradually, the women of the heavenly Qin kingdom really stood up. The men no longer dared to treat the women like goods. Be it ordinary citizens or powerful officials, they all respected their wives and concubines. They were afraid that once they were harsh to their wives and concubines, another imperial noble consort would appear. Later on, they realized that treating their wives better had yielded unexpected results. The men who had tasted the sweetness also understood that being more sincere to women was a great benefit. They no longer felt disgusted by this matter. All the women were grateful to the imperial noble consort who cuckolded the emperor every day and acted recklessly. In fact, over the years, other than meddling in other people's business, occasionally bringing her adulterer around the palace, or taking people out for a ride, the imperial noble consort really hadn't done anything bad. She had never been interested in the political affairs of the heavenly Qin kingdom. She wouldn't take the initiative to interfere unless someone begged her to attract her and arouse her interest. She would only interfere if she felt that it was somewhat interesting. If one wanted to say that she was a warm-hearted person, then it would be a huge mistake. There had once been a woman who had begged her. The imperial noble consort discovered that this woman had just changed and was then coaxed back by her husband with a few words. No matter what this woman begged in the future, she would not see her again. This made many people understand that the imperial noble consort was not a benevolent person. Shenyuan Mo was still the emperor. He was still talented, but many people could tell that even though he was conscientious in handling court affairs, his life was not good. The courtiers did not dare to say anything. As long as the emperor did not drop the ball, they would be glad. The young prince was also born. He was currently being taught by the empress and had even invited a few grand tutors. The courtiers planned to nurture the young prince well. Shenyuan Mo seemed to have tacitly agreed with their actions. Other than handling court affairs, he was completely muddle-headed. Just like that, many years passed. The imperial noble consort's appearance was still the same. Her relationship with Shenyuan Mie had improved. The concubines could often see the two of them strolling in the imperial garden hand in hand. Shenyuan Mie would often pick the most beautiful flower and put it on her. The two of them smiled at each other, showing the affection in each other's eyes. The imperial noble consort's legs were not good, so she was mostly carried out by Shenyuan Mie. Over the years, her legs had been getting worse. Every time she met someone, it was on Shenyuan Mie's back. But every time, he could see that she was smiling happily on Shenyuan Mie's back. When Shenyuan Mie asked her if her leg hurt, she said it didn't. Shenyuan Mie's heartache and careful look showed that he really loved her. She had not left the palace for a long time, and her body could not compare to the aged emperor of the Great Tang. Many people knew that the imperial noble consort didn't have much time left. The consorts were much quieter than before. Meng Defei and the others looked much younger than the empress who worked so hard. And Ningxiang looked to be in her 40s, but they looked to be only 28. As for the imperial noble consort, she actually looked even younger. They often wondered why she didn't live long when she was so young. Chapter 503. On this day, Ningxiang led the 8-year-old little crown prince to the imperial garden. The little crown prince stared at the man and woman in the pavilion. The man was massaging the imperial noble consort's legs. "Mother, is that the imperial noble consort?" "Yes, she is the imperial noble consort." The little crown prince pursed his lips. "She doesn't look well." Yes, her body is not well. She is so beautiful. And Ningxiang nodded. No one can compare to her elegance. I heard that she is the princess of the Tang dynasty. I also heard that she helped the Tang dynasty with many suggestions. She opened up the overseas market and introduced countless new products. She improved the vegetables and grains seeds. Everyone in the Tang dynasty eats meat for every meal. Even dogs have meat to eat every day. The little crown prince's eyes flashed. Mother, why is she here? Mother, if she leaves the harem, will she be able to benefit the people of the world? Mother, why can't women be officials? If a woman is talented, she will definitely be able to benefit the people. Don't you think so? And Ningxiang's eyes were filled with tears. She choked. Yes. She secretly wiped her tears. Her son was so sensible. He knew so much at such a young age. If you like a woman in the future, you must not hurt innocent women for her. Do you understand? I understand. I won't be a heartless person. It's not easy to be a woman. If I really like someone, I won't take anyone else into the palace. I will only marry her. Hearing this, Ningxiang couldn't hold it in anymore. Her tears fell. Her son was very good. Mother, I want to go back to study. The little crown prince looked at the time and said anxiously. Actually, he wanted to see the imperial noble consort. He knew more than his mother thought. But seeing that the two of them were immersed in their own world, he could only give up. And Ningxiang didn't miss the reluctance and admiration in the little crown prince's eyes. Who didn't admire the imperial noble consort? The things she did, not to mention women, even men couldn't compare. Now, there were countless people who wanted to live in the Tang dynasty. Then let's go back. The crown prince looked back a few more times before finally leaving. He clenched his fist. He would work hard and not lose to a woman. He would be more outstanding than the imperial noble consort and make his mother proud. Yeah, let's go back to the Tang dynasty. Tang Guo hugged Shenyuan Mie's neck and stared in the direction where the little crown prince and Ningxiang left. She said in a low voice, I don't want to stay here anymore. All right. Mie, you're so likable. Shenyuan Mie did not know whether to laugh or cry. He kissed her forehead and smoothed her hair before carrying her up. Let's go now. Let's go now. Not saying goodbye to the others. No need. All right. She left. Meng Defei suddenly stood up. She lifted her skirt and rushed to the top of the city wall. She could only see the back of the carriage. Through the curtain that was blown by the wind, she could vaguely see two figures leaning against each other. She finally couldn't control her tears and shouted into the distance, Imperial Noble Consort Jejie, you're leaving just like that? Why are you in such a hurry? Why didn't you say goodbye? Yin Shufei and the other imperial concubines all ran up the city walls and watched as the carriage slowly moved forward. Tears streamed down their faces as they waved goodbye to the people in the carriage. Imperial Noble Consort Jejie, thank you. Yin Shufei muttered in a low voice. Thank you for giving them a different life. It made them understand that women didn't need to revolve around a man to live a good life. Tang Guo lifted the curtain and looked back with a smile. Go live the life you want. The little crown prince won't make things difficult for you. The Tang dynasty's army will retreat and never appear in the Tianqin kingdom again. Chapter 504. On this day, the citizens of the Tianqin Empire left the city and looked at the empty Great Tang city. The cannons that had disappeared were stunned. Has the Great Tang dynasty's army retreated? It seems to have retreated. The citizens looked at each other. The city is empty too. It's empty. A maid carried a basket of vegetables and frowned. My madam wants to eat the fruits and vegetables of the Great Tang dynasty. Now that she's gone, where am I going to buy them? They're leaving in too much of a hurry. Back then, they came in a hurry, and now they're leaving in such a hurry. Aren't they going to say goodbye? Let's disperse. It looks like they won't be coming back. For some reason, from the initial fear to later on, they especially liked coming to Great Tang City. The things here were always new and rare. As for those cannons, other than at the beginning, they had never been used. From fear to liking, and now to reluctance. This great Tang city is so good. Why do we have to leave? Maybe it's because our Tianqin Empire is too poor. The great Tang dynasty has trade with many countries overseas. Every family is rich. The people who stayed in the Tianqin Empire probably couldn't sit still and quickly returned. After a long time, they heard that the imperial noble consort and her adulterer had left. These troops were originally here to protect her. Since she was no longer here, there was naturally no need to be stationed here. After a few days, many people realized that without the imperial noble consort and the existence of the great Tang city, why were their days so boring? She really left. He went to Tang Guo's old palace and stayed in her room for a long time. He recalled the past, and the more he recalled, the more painful it became. He looked at his reflection in the bronze mirror and saw that he was incomparably old. He hurriedly covered it with his sleeve, not wanting to look. Suddenly, he found a sachet in a corner. He hurriedly picked it up. The familiar pattern and the word Mo pierced his eyes. Eunuch Li then saw that Shenyuan Mo was holding a sachet and was actually crying. He was sorrowfully wiping his tears and sobbing. "This is the sachet she made for me. Look, she made it for me." Shenyuan Mo held the sachet and cried, "When did she do it? If I had discovered it earlier, she wouldn't have left. Tell me, wouldn't she?" The next day, Shenyuan Mo abdicated his position to the 8-year-old crown prince. Living in the palace of the former imperial noble consort, one could often see the grand emperor holding a sachet, crying and laughing. And Ning Xiong took the crown prince to take a look. The mother and son were silent for a long time, then left hand in hand. "Mother, is imperial noble consort really won't come back?" "She won't." "Why did she come back? It's not like this place." The moment Tang Guo regained consciousness, she felt pain all over her body, as if she was being skinned alive. That burning pain made her break out in cold sweat. With no time to think, she endured the pain and opened her eyes. She lowered her head and saw that she was covered in blood and lying on the ground weakly. There were still many people looking at her. She glanced at them calmly. At the very front, there was a man and a woman. The man was holding a long sword in his hand. The long sword was dripping with blood. He stared at her with a heavy gaze that carried a hint of disgust. The man was dressed in a black robe. His face was cold and handsome. The woman standing beside him was dressed in a fiery red robe. Her appearance was bright and beautiful, and there was a hint of arrogance between her brows. "Tang Guo, you only have yourself to blame for this. You shouldn't have attacked Ling Yi Zichen said. Leng Yeling sheathed his long sword and wrapped his arm around the gorgeously dressed woman beside him. "Today, on account of Star Moon sects by Wuqing, who is your master, I will only destroy your spirit root and spare your life." Only then did Tang Guo notice that not far away, there was a man in white clothes with a cold face standing with his hands clasped behind his back. Chapter 505. The current situation doesn't seem too good, Tongzi. Dear host, you're about to be expelled from the sect. The system said carefully. It had only seen a little of the plot, but the situation was unfavorable for the host. Tang Guo didn't say anything else. Now wasn't the time to look at the plot and accept the memories. She had to get through this first. To be honest, she had often felt weak when she transmigrated, so she didn't panic at all. Sect Master Wen, I remember there's a rule in Xingyue sect. Those who harm their fellow disciples should be expelled from the sect. Leng Yeling's lips curled into a cold smile. Not only did Tang Guo harm her fellow disciples, she even stole your sect's most precious treasure. It's not right for such a disciple to remain in the sect. Tang Guo lowered her eyes. Does this man in a black robe hate her to the core? She didn't need to guess to know that any man who loved the female lead would hate her to the core. They would want to kill her. Elder Bai, what do you think? When Zichou glanced at the man in white. Tang Guo is Elder Bai's disciple. How should Elder Bai deal with this? Bai Wuqing finally looked up and glanced at the others. Finally, he stopped in front of Tang Guo and asked coldly, "Why did you steal the sect's treasure?" "I don't know." Tang Guo narrowed her eyes and looked at the person in front of her. She communicated with the system. It's him. The system was shocked. Why was the host able to recognize him every single time? But the current situation didn't seem too good. Even Bai Wuqing, who was usually expressionless, couldn't help but frown. You don't know why you stole the sect's treasure? I don't know. Tang Guo was confused. She hadn't received her memories yet, so she really didn't know. As for whether she stole it or not, that was still a question. Bai Wuqing was a little surprised. The personality of the Tang Guo in front of him seemed to have changed. Suddenly, his expression became a lot sharper. He went up and pressed on Tang Guo's head. When he felt that her soul was still a familiar soul, and that she hadn't been possessed, his expression softened. Tang Guo and the system could not understand why they could not tell that they had been possessed when they transmigrated into someone else's body. Sect Master, I think this matter is still suspicious. Why don't we investigate further? Bai Wuqing finally spoke. Originally, he was a cold-hearted person. Even though Tang Guo was his disciple, he didn't really care about her life or death. But just now, something stirred in his heart, causing him to make this decision. Feng Filing, on the other hand, refused to comply. Feng Filing was the woman dressed in fiery red. Elder Bai, there are records of Tang Guo stealing the sect's most valuable treasure and the image stone. There's also evidence of her murderous plot against me and her attempt to destroy my spirit root. At this time, is Elder Bai still going to protect her? If it wasn't for Elder Bai's sake, I wouldn't have destroyed her spirit root so easily. I would have taken her life directly. Master, I have already made a lot of concessions by sparing Tang Guo's life today. If Tang Guo stays in the sect, I will leave. Feng Filing coldly said. Do you want Tang Guo or do you want me? Choose for yourself. When Ziqiu looked at Feng Filing's angry appearance, and a flash of adoration appeared in her eyes. But she quickly concealed it. This time, it was indeed Ling Er who had been wronged. He immediately stopped questioning Bai Wuqing and announced, Tang Guo killed her fellow disciples and stole the sect's most valuable treasure. Now that her spirit root has been destroyed, I have decided to strip her of her status as a Star Moon sect disciple. Chapter 506. Tang Guo, please leave my sect as soon as possible, Wen Ziqiu said with a serious expression. Wen Ziqiu said with a serious expression. A trace of disgust flashed in his eyes. Those who hurt Ling Er deserved to end up like this. Tang Guo's heart did not waver. She only looked at Bai Wuqing a few more times, and a trace of regret flashed through her heart. She said to the system, in this world, he's not cute anymore. Great host, it's fine. Let's end this world soon. The system felt a bit of heartache. How many happy worlds had the great host lived? Seeing her happy, it was happy too. After traveling through time for so many years, it finally saw the great host's sincere smile. Now it's back to square one. Great host, maybe you can salvage the situation. Tang Guo could not help but laugh. What's there to salvage? Look, my original body's spirit root was destroyed, but he didn't stop it. It's obvious that he doesn't care. I've never liked to force others to like me. All right. The people of Star Moon sect watched as the peerless genius, who once had a transcendent status, got up from the ground with her spirit root destroyed and covered in blood. Countless people were happy, but there were also some who felt a bit sad. When she stood up shakily, a smile actually appeared on that delicate and beautiful but pale face. She glanced at Feng Filing, and finally her gaze landed on Bai Wuqing. Right, this person seemed to be the master of this body. No matter what, she had to save him. Master. Bai Wuqing looked up at her and said coldly, what else do you have to say? Master, just now, this disciple's spirit root was destroyed. Why didn't you stop it? Bai Wuqing was stunned. You framed the sect and stole the sect's treasure. Destroying your spirit root is the sect's rule. Master, actually, I'm not someone who likes to follow the rules. Tang Guo laughed. She had already accepted this body, and when she saw Bai Wuqing, she also accepted the feelings of the original body. She loved Bai Wuqing. Even if I'm unforgivable, I still hope that the person closest to me can help me say a few words. Even if you can't stop it, it's better to just stand at the side and watch coldly without saying anything. Suddenly, she laughed. I'm asking for too much. Master is a cold person with a transcendent status. Many people can't compare to him in terms of cultivation level. Even if he's a personal disciple, he won't even enter your eyes. Looking at your high and mighty appearance, she whispered, as if she was speaking only to him, I just want to see you descend into the boundless hell. She was a vengeful person. This aloof and indifferent look was really asking for a beating. She was a person who liked to shield her own disciples. The situation before her eyes was obviously not as simple as it seemed. However, Bai Wuqing did not even think of fighting for more time to investigate. It was clear that he really did not care about this disciple of his. How could I? While Bai Wuqing was still in a daze, she walked closer to him, and a radiant smile appeared on her pale face. In a low voice, she said, after I leave today, I don't know if we'll be able to meet again. Disciple has something to say to Master. Master, do you know that disciple admires you? She looked straight into Bai Wuqing's eyes, and instantly caught the uneasiness in his eyes. She understood in her heart that he knew. Today's matter was most likely because he wanted to escape from her, so he deliberately did not investigate to the end. Master, you're really heartless. She lowered her head. Since you're like this, disciple will let go of you from today onwards. I'll take back my past infatuation. She could already feel the heavy feelings of love that the original body had for Bai Wuqing. She, who did not know her memories, could only follow her feelings. Chapter 507. Bai Wuqing, I'm leaving. Tangwa pulled away from Bai Wuqing and turned around with a faint smile. Dragging her heavy footsteps, she staggered step by step and left under everyone's gaze. Her back was stained with blood, and it made people feel a little depressed. There was a moment in Bai Wuqing's heart where he wanted to go and grab her. Xiao Guo loved him, and he had already noticed it a few years ago. Ever since she entered the sect, Xiao Guo's reputation wasn't too good. People often said that she was too materialistic. Cultivation was hard work, but he didn't need this kind of cultivation partner. Xiao Guo had a jumpy personality, and she was scheming. She was also ruthless and talkative, and he liked to be quiet. Similarly, he didn't like all kinds of scheming encounters. He hated this disciple of his, and that was why he didn't stop what happened before. Looking at her disappearing figure in the clouds, Bai Wuqing suddenly felt empty in his heart, and it was very uncomfortable. Shouldn't he hate Xiao Guo? Why was it that when she disappeared, he felt so uncomfortable, and the images that popped up in his mind were all the times when the two of them were together? Bai Wuqing's cold face frowned, and he stood there motionless. When Feng Filing saw this, a trace of a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth as he pulled Leng Yeling away. Bai Wuqing, oh Bai Wuqing, it must be hard for you to see the person you like being crippled. She wasn't in a hurry. She would take everything one step at a time. She glanced at the man beside her who was looking at her with a doting expression, and laughed coldly in her heart. She really wasn't in a hurry. No one could escape. Those who had wronged her before would all get what they deserved. Tang Guo was just the beginning. After Tang Guo went down the mountain, she didn't go to the city. Instead, she found a hidden cave and began to accept the plot of this world. This was a cultivation world. The male lead was Leng Yeling, and the female lead was Feng Filing. Feng Filing was reborn, and came back with endless hatred and hatred. This was also a female lead who hated the heavens and hated the air, and wasn't swayed by her emotions. Feng Filing didn't have a good ending in her previous life. Ever since she entered the sect, she loved Bai Wuqing and used countless methods to get close to Bai Wuqing. What Bai Wuqing hated the most was people playing tricks with him. Feng Filing's behavior annoyed him to no end, so he criticized her in front of everyone, causing her to lose all face. Later on, Bai Wuqing actually became Dao companions with his personal disciple, which made Feng Filing even more unwilling. On the other hand, the disciple of the Devil sect leader, Leng Yeling, was also very fond of Tang Guo. Two equally outstanding men, both of whom liked Tang Guo, looked at her as if they were looking at a fly, which made her very embarrassed. Later, when they were in the arcane realm, she couldn't help but use the most vicious means in the immortal cultivation world to cripple Tang Guo. Unexpectedly, This matter was discovered by Leng Yeling. Leng Yeling pointed out her viciousness in front of everyone and personally destroyed her spirit root. She was expelled from the sect, and not long after, she was tortured to death by a group of evil people. When she woke up, she was reborn, and she was reborn to the time when she had just entered the sect. After being reborn, she naturally didn't want to continue her fate with Bai Wuqing. She only wanted to take revenge on everyone. First, she attracted the attention of the Star Moon sect's sect leader, Wen Ziqiu, and made him accept her as a disciple, which gave her an unattainable status. Knowing that Bai Wuqing hated schemes, when Tangguo first awakened of love, she let people unintentionally reveal various methods to get close to Bai Wuqing, which successfully made Bai Wuqing hate Tangguo. Then, she spread some rumors about Tangguo. Even if it was a small matter, it could be said to have ulterior motives. Chapter 508. The opportunity belonged to Tangguo, so she naturally accepted it without hesitation. Later, when she found an opportunity, she used the same trick again, making everyone think that Tangguo wanted to destroy her spirit root. And the person who stole the sect's treasure was naturally Tangguo herself. However, she paid a price to control Tangguo's consciousness for a short period of time and let her steal it. This price caused her cultivation to be unable to progress for 3 years. If Tangguo's cultivation was a bit more powerful, she really wouldn't dare to do it. She wanted Leng Yeling to destroy Tangguo's spirit root personally, and wanted Bai Wuqing to watch coldly from the sidelines. This was what she had encountered before, and her goal was achieved. Next, Feng Feiling would take revenge on everyone who wronged her, and Bai Wuqing finally found out the truth. But at that time, Feng Feiling had already grown to an unimaginable level. She mercilessly lured Bai Wuqing into the nest of 1,000 devils, causing Bai Wuqing to be eaten by 10,000 devils forever. Later, she successfully passed the tribulation, but did not ascend. In her words, she naturally wanted to wait for her Dao companion, Leng Yeling, to ascend together. On the day Leng Yeling passed the tribulation, 9 heavenly tribulations fell one after another. When the last heavenly tribulation fell, Feng Feiling sent a message to Leng Yeling. After hearing this, Leng Yeling's expression changed greatly, and his mind became chaotic. He, who should have passed the tribulation smoothly, died in the last heavenly tribulation. And Feng Feiling took revenge on everyone, and ascended with a smile beside Leng Yeling's charred corpse. After reading all the plot, Tangguo couldn't help but say, the female lead with a sense of evil. As expected, she's cold, ruthless, and decisive in killing. Hey! Tangguo exclaimed in surprise as she skipped past a few cannon fodders, Ziyun's Devil Sect's sect master, Mo Yuntian. These 2 people would later die in Feng Feiling's hands. The reason was that the Devil Sect's sect master, Mo Yuntian, found out that Feng Feiling had ulterior motives and wanted to warn his disciple Leng Yeling, but was killed by Feng Feiling in the end. As for Ziyun's sect master, he could refine good pills, and he almost never left his house. The only enmity she had with Feng Feiling was when her spiritual root was destroyed and she was expelled from the sect in her previous life. Coincidentally, she met Ziyun Dao Master, who was picking herbs. The Ziyun Dao Master did nothing but pass by her. After his rebirth, Feng Feiling knew that Purple Cloud's Dao Master was a powerful alchemist. He bore a grudge against the other party for not saving him at that time. When he met Purple Cloud's Dao Master in this life, he conveniently killed him. Tangguo remained silent. Was it a coincidence, or had she really come to the world of Ziyun? However, what happened to Ziyun the Reverend was too unjust. He was just an unlucky guy in the legends. Tongzi, open the group chat. Daoist Master Purple Cloud, True Monarch Scarlet Firmament, you're both here. Ziyun Zhenren replied, yes, yes, yes. Campus Bell, you haven't shown up for many years. I've been waiting for you for so long that the flowers are about to wilt. True Monarch Scarlet Heaven said, Campus Bell, please feed me. Tangguo hurriedly sent red packets of delicacies to her friends in the group before asking, is the Devil Sect's sect master's name Mo Yuntian? He has a disciple called Leng Yeling. Devil Sect's sect master said, Campus Bell, how did you know? Tangguo remained silent for a while before continuing to ask, Ziyun Dao Master, Are you the Pill Heart sect's old ancestor Scarlet Heaven, true monarch Scarlet Heaven? Are you the Wu Hua sect's old ancestor Scarlet Heaven, the Devil sect master? Does your disciple like a woman called Feng Filing? Tang Guo's words had a great impact on everyone, causing the food to become tasteless. They hurriedly asked, how did she know? Chapter 509. Feng Filing is the direct disciple of Star Moon Sect's sect leader, Wen Ziqiu. Star Moon Sect has an elder called Bai Wuqing, and Bai Wuqing has a disciple called Tang Guo, right? Yes, yes, yes. The few of them quickly answered. While they were shocked, they had an idea, although it was a very bold idea. Tang Guo did not keep them in suspense and said directly, what I want to tell you is that my name is now Tang Guo. Originally, I had a master called Bai Wuqing. His spirit root was just destroyed and he was expelled from the sect. Purple Cloud Sage, Scarlet Cloud Sage, Devil sect leader, School Beauty. Oh right, I forgot to tell you. The guy who destroyed my spirit root is called Lung Yeling. Devil sect leader, School Beauty, this can't be true. He did not believe that his disciple would be so unlucky. Not only did he destroy someone's spirit root, but he also provoked the School Beauty. Soon, Scarlet Cloud Sage reacted, School Beauty, how are you now? Where are you? I'll come and pick you up. Purple Cloud Sage also quickly said, let me come and pick you up. I know how to refine pills, maybe I can help you recover your spirit root. Devil sect leader quickly said, let me do it. School Beauty, you can do whatever you want with that disciple in the future. Don't worry about me. The School Beauty was such a big figure with a mysterious background. He did not want to offend her by covering up for his disciple. He only wanted to leave Lung Yeling alive. Ever since he met a girl called Feng Filing, his disciple seemed to be possessed. Originally, he was obedient, but now, he even knew how to talk back to him. The group had a function. If they were in the same plane, they could set their own location. Tang Guo sent her location over. As for who would arrive first, that was their problem. Her whole body was in pain now, so she had to heal first. The system silently wiped off its cold sweat. The great host finally remembered that she was a person who had her spirit root destroyed and was seriously injured. It expressed that there was a reason why the host was so calm. It was not the first time that her cultivation base had been destroyed, and her spirit root had been destroyed. The host was especially experienced, so there was no need for her to be afraid. In some of the worlds that Tang Guo had experienced, her spirit root had been destroyed more than once. As a result, she had comprehended a cultivation method for people whose spirit root had been destroyed, the Universal Rejuvenation Mystery Scroll. The plot of a certain world was from the cultivation world to the immortal world. Therefore, the immortal cultivation technique that she comprehended was divided into two parts, the Spirit Scroll and the Immortal Scroll. When she came to this world and opened her eyes, her spirit root had already been destroyed. She could only cultivate this Universal Rejuvenation Shen Scroll. This technique could only be cultivated by a cripple. If she had a good spirit root, it would be useless. Therefore, it was exceptionally easy for her to cultivate. In addition, the original body was a peerless genius, and she was familiar with the myriad things Rejuvenation Shen Scroll, so there was no difficulty in cultivating it. When Tang Guo opened her eyes again, it was already a day later. Her injuries had basically healed, and her strength had also recovered to the level of the original owner. Host, your cultivation technique is still as perverse as ever. The more thoroughly it is crippled, the faster it can be cultivated. It has only been a day. I remember that in a certain world, it took you 10 days to cultivate to this level. Tang Guo smiled. Because this body is also a natural spirit body. Its innate conditions are not bad. Ian, the great host is in a good mood. The great host, someone is coming. After coming to the cultivation world, the system had been monitoring the surroundings. When it saw that someone was coming, it hurriedly reminded it. The two people leaped over from different directions. Chapter 510. Is this the place? Purple Cloud stared at the small cave in front of him in confusion. There was a mysterious and profound formation outside, but he didn't dare to touch it directly. Instead, he stared at the young man flying in from afar. Purple Cloud, how did you get here so quickly? Your Pill Heart sect isn't close to here. Scarlet Cloud was a little surprised. He also stopped outside the cave and looked at the mysterious formation, not daring to destroy it. The two of them quickly sank their consciousness into the cave and were about to summon Tang Guo when the formation in front of the cave was suddenly removed. An exquisite and beautiful little girl appeared in their line of sight, a faint smile hanging on the corner of her mouth. She looked like she was only 16 years old, but her eyes didn't seem to belong to a 16-year-old person. They looked at each other. Scarlet Cloud was anxious when she didn't speak. He couldn't help but lean forward and call out carefully, "Campus Bell. It's me." Tang Guo took out 2 beggar's chickens and casually threw them to the two of them. "It's a gift for our first meeting. You're welcome." The beggar's chicken was very fragrant. The two of them caught it and looked at it with greed. They wanted to take a bite, but due to the current situation, they had to put it in their storage rings first. They saw Tang Guo's current realm at a glance. It was the Golden Core stage, but they were still a little surprised. How could the mysterious Campus Bell be in the Golden Core stage? Then they suddenly remembered that the Campus Bell said her spiritual root was destroyed yesterday. Wait, wasn't her spiritual root destroyed? How could she be in the Golden Core stage? Campus Bell, has your spiritual root really been destroyed? Ziyundao Master asked with some uncertainty. Tang Guo knew their doubts. It was destroyed when I came here. After recuperating for a day, I just recovered my original strength. Recovered in a day? The two of them were speechless. They were a little shocked. She was indeed the Campus Bell, mysterious and powerful. Her spiritual root was destroyed, but she recovered to the Golden Core stage in a day. Campus Bell, what's your plan now? Scarlet Cloud looked at her eagerly. Come to my place. I'm the leader of the Wuhua sect, and the sect master is still my junior. He doesn't even dare to fart in front of me. It's rare for you to come here, so you can do whatever you want. Campus Bell, my Pill Heart sect should be more suitable for you. I'm also the most senior in the Pill Heart sect. None of the little bastards dare to disobey me, Purple Cloud hurriedly said, afraid that perfected monarch Scarlet Firmament would beat him to it. The two of them looked at each other, their eyes filled with fighting spirit. Kai Xiao, Zi Yun, you two shameless fellows actually dared to abduct the school bell here. A thunderous voice came from afar, followed by a black-robed man landing beside the two of them. His originally cold face suddenly rippled with a flattering smile when he saw Tang Guo, causing Purple Cloud Immortal and Kai Xiao Immortal to feel nauseous again and again. Damn it, how did this shameless demonic cultivator come so quickly? What did he mean by abducting the school bell? Wasn't he just short of a sentence? Let go of the school bell and let him do it. School beauty, I am the sect leader of the devil sect, Mo Yuntian. When Mo Yuntian saw Tang Guo, he was also a little surprised because he had seen the original Tang Guo. Her temperament was completely different from the Tang Guo in front of him. He was very familiar with the name Tang Guo, thanks to his bastard disciple. She was the direct disciple of Star Moon sects by Wuqing, a genius who formed her gold core before the age of 15. However, later on, another disciple who was even more outstanding than Tang Guo appeared in Star Moon sect. This woman's name was Feng Filing, the woman his disciple was infatuated with. Chapter 511. The three of them appeared, and the people in the group were also watching. Those who were in the interstellar magic world were especially envious of the three of them being able to see Tang Guo. As for Wanderer Silver Ring and Fairy Piao Miao, although they were also cultivators, they were not in this world. They appeared in the group less often, which seemed to be because of the living environment. The three of them wanted Tang Guo to go to their world, but no one wanted to. They also did not dare to force Tang Guo, so they could only find a place to sit down and talk about the past. Tang Guo also planned to do the same. They went down the mountain together and came to the city. They went to a restaurant and booked a private room. They only ordered some drinks and then looked at Tang Guo with eager eyes. Tang Guo took out all kinds of food with an indifferent expression. In a short while, the table was full of all kinds of delicacies from various worlds, dazzling them. What made Tangguo even more speechless was that the first thing the three of them thought of was not eating. Instead, they used their consciousness to turn the scene in front of them into a picture and put it in the group. They also added a sentence, "Delicacies from the campus belle." Haha, are you envious? Jealous? The table is full. Tangguo facepalmed and said to the system, "Was it a wrong decision to look for them? Host, think about a group of country bumpkins who have never been to the city. Isn't it like this?" Tongzi, your words are getting more and more artistic. When the group quarreled, the three of them closed the group in satisfaction and began to enjoy the delicacies. No one said a word. After eating, Ziyundao Master served tea. The three of them looked serious and asked Tangguo about her next plan. "Campus belle, how long will you stay in this world?" Ziyundao Master asked. They all knew that Tangguo had been wandering around the world, and the time she stayed in those worlds varied. The longest was unknown, and the shortest was 10 years. "I don't know. I will leave after I finish what I want to do." Tangguo looked at the three of them puzzled and continued, "That Feng Filing is a reborn person. You should be able to understand what a reborn person is, right?" As soon as he finished speaking, the expressions of the three changed. Reincarnated was a literal meaning. The world of cultivation had records of reincarnated people. Such people were favored by the heavens. At the same time, the appearance of such people meant that the heavenly secrets of this world would be disturbed because of the reincarnated people. The fate of many people would change as a result. So, the campus belle's purpose? Mo Yuntian asked carefully. "To tell you the truth, ever since my disciple Leng Yeling met Feng Filing, he has been bewitched to the point of being disoriented, and has even started to disobey me, his master. Previously, I felt that the other party was strange, but I didn't expect it to be like this." Reincarnated people were also known as the daughters of fate. Those who were entangled with them and obeyed them would have a good future, while those who disobeyed them would end up very miserable. Whether I appear or not, Leng Yeling will not end well. Tangguo held the teacup and looked up. But after I appear, he can at least stay alive. As for how he will survive, it depends on my mood. Mo Yuntian's expression relaxed. As long as the campus belle doesn't kill him, it's fine. Tangguo laughed lightly. This Mo Yuntian was a smart person. He actually guessed that Leng Yeling would not end well. But was it really better for Leng Yeling to live than to die? That might not be the case. Even if Leng Yeling was Mo Yuntian's disciple, she would not show mercy. As long as Sect Master does not interfere, I can guarantee that Leng Yeling's life will not be taken by me. I know. Even if the campus belle wants to personally cripple his spirit root, it's fine. Mo Yuntian had already figured it out. Tangguo smiled. "Don't worry, I won't cripple him. As for whether he will do it himself in the future, I don't know." The three of them felt a chill run down their spines because of this sentence. Chapter 512. Before they met Tangguo, they only felt that she was mysterious and powerful. But when they saw her, they only had one thought in their minds: offend anyone but her. Otherwise, they would die a horrible death. Although she looked like a small golden core cultivator, they couldn't afford to offend her. "What's your plan next?" Kai Xiao Perfected Cultivator asked. Tangguo fell silent. She held the teacup and thought for a while. Then, her eyes fell on Mo Yuntian. "I'll go with sect leader Mo. Don't you devil sects like to occupy cultivators' territory? Let's attack the cultivators' territory and occupy it." Purple Cloud Perfected Cultivator. Was this really okay? She even said it in front of him. Kai Xiao Perfected Cultivator. If the campus belle wanted to attack the Wuhua sect, he would let his subordinates play a few rounds and surrender. There was nothing wrong with following the campus belle. Mo Yuntian was stunned. What did he just hear? As a righteous cultivator, the campus belle wanted to become a devil sect cultivator and lead them to attack the righteous cultivators and occupy their territory. Campus belle, are you sure? Mo Yuntian's expression was a little complicated. He must be dreaming. Tangguo nodded. I'm sure. Since the school bell had said so, Mo Yuntian was also a straightforward person. He immediately said excitedly, "Okay, school bell, come with me. I'll give you my position as the sect leader of the Devil Sect. Let's discuss how to take down the righteous cultivators' territory. By the way, you two should surrender as soon as possible." Mo Yuntian snorted. "Otherwise, it'll be ugly when you fight. I don't want the position of sect leader. Give me the position of saintess. It'll be lower than yours. I can crush Lung Yelling at will. The whole sect has to listen to my words. Even if it's Lung Yelling's order, I'll have the power to turn everyone to my side." Mo Yuntian wasn't surprised that Tang Guo didn't want the position of sect leader. He was sincere about giving it up. He always felt that he could do great things with the campus bell. "How about this? Let's become brother and sister in name. Campus bell, your position in the sect will be slightly lower than mine, if you don't mind me taking advantage of you." Hearing this, Tang Guo's eyes lit up. "All right, let's become brother and sister. From now on, I'll call you Brother Mo. Brother Mo, when you see Lung Yelling in the future, remember to tell him that I'm his aunt." Mo Yuntian. Fine, fine, she really couldn't stand that evil creature. "Campus bell, let's also become brother and sister. I'm not the only one, right?" True Monarch Scarlet Firmament said shamelessly, "With the identity of old ancestor Scarlet Firmament's younger sister, it will be very convenient for you to do things in the future." Although Ziyun Dao Master didn't say anything, his expression already told them that if he wanted to become sworn brothers, they would all become sworn brothers together. Thus, the four of them became sworn brothers in the private room. Purple Cloud Dao Master and Scarlet Firmament True Monarch looked at Mo Yuntian and were somewhat speechless. They never thought that they would one day become sworn brothers with this devil. When they thought of having a sister like the campus bell, they suddenly felt that it was worth it. Lung Yelling didn't know the situation and was still being lovey-dovey with Feng Filing, but he already had an aunt. The four of them came out of the restaurant. Just as they were about to go their separate ways, they were blocked by a man in white. Seeing the appearance of the person who came, they all looked at Tang Guo in astonishment. "Elder Bai," Tang Guo called out distantly, "why are you blocking my way if you don't know?" Bai Wuqing didn't move aside. "Where did you go?" After she left, he went down the mountain to look for her. After looking for a long time, he still couldn't find her. "What does this have to do with you?" Chapter 513. Are you alright? Bai Wuqing suddenly realized that Tang Guo had already recovered to the late stage of the Golden Core stage. His heart was filled with shock and astonishment. Looking at the other three people, his expression became much more alert. He had seen all three of them before. They were the top figures in the cultivation world. Usually, they would not appear in public. Today, they appeared together, and with her. Tang Guo smiled faintly. "Whether I'm good or bad, haven't you seen it for yourself? Elder Bai, you have to understand one thing. You and I are no longer master and disciple. I'm also no longer a disciple of the Star Moon sect. Where I go, what I do, whether I'm good or bad, it has nothing to do with you." Bai Wuqing only felt a little depressed, especially when she said that she had nothing to do with him. It was as if a knife had stabbed into his heart. He did not know why he came to find her. Even if she said all these, he was not willing to leave. He only wanted to follow her. With that thought in mind, he did so. "Big brother Mo, let's go." Mo Yuntian hesitated for a moment, but still nodded. "Big brother Ziyun, big brother Kai Xiao, we'll see you later. If you're free, come visit the Devil Sect. I'll treat you to good wine and dishes." After the few of them parted, Tang Guo passed by Bai Wuqing. She did not even look at him as she left with Mo Yuntian. An hour later, Mo Yuntian glanced behind him as he secretly communicated with Tang Guo. "School beauty, that guy is still following us. His strength is not inferior to mine. We can't shake him off. Let him be." Mo Yuntian's expression was strange for a moment as he secretly observed Tang Guo's expression. Her eyes were smiling, her lips were slightly curved, and her delicate and slightly tender face revealed that she was in a good mood. As he flew, he also observed the cold man in white. He was expressionless, and no emotions could be seen. But the other party was following them calmly, and he did not know what his motive was. School beauty, we're about to reach the devil sect. It's not convenient for him to go in, right? Hearing that, Tang Guo turned and walked towards Bai Wuqing. Bai Wuqing did not move forward. He just stood there, waiting for her to walk in front of him. He looked at her with clear eyes and saw her smile that was not a smile. He suddenly felt as if a lifetime had passed, as if she was different somewhere. Bai Wuqing, why are you still following me? Are you a dog? Mo Yun Tian. Bai Wuqing was a puppy? The devil sect is right in front of us. Xiao Guo, come with me. It's not good to be associated with the devil sect. Bai Wuqing's entire being was cold and indifferent. Even his voice was cold and indifferent. He clearly wanted to take her away, but he just felt that it was for her own good. However, his tone was cold and emotionless. Tang Guo sneered. Not good. What's wrong with the devil sect? Could it be that I have to go back to the Star Moon sect with you? Bai Wuqing, I'm afraid you've forgotten how I came from the Star Moon sect. You saw them cripple my spirit root with your own eyes. You heard them strip me of my identity as a disciple of Star Moon sect, and you never stopped them. Her expression suddenly became indifferent. You want to take me back, but where can I go? Didn't you hate to see me? Why are you still following me today? Didn't you find me annoying and noisy? Didn't you want some peace and quiet? Great, now you have peace and quiet. Don't find trouble for yourself. After saying that, Tang Guo turned to leave. However, Bai Wuqing grabbed her arm. She did not struggle. She stared at that pair of slender hands and laughed softly. Bai Wuqing, you've never once tried to hide your dislike for me. It's like you're looking at something dirty. Why, now you're not letting me go? Are you a wretch? Mo Yuntian stood silently at the side, not daring to say a word. He silently shared the news with his friends in the group. Shocking news. The school beauty and Bai Wuqing had an affair. Heavens, he did not dare to imagine. Chapter 514. Bai Wuqing, can you let go of me now? Bai Wuqing silently let go of her and did not try to stop her from entering the devil sect's territory. Mo Yuntian heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly told Tang Guo to leave. He really did not want to see such a cold person like Bai Wuqing having a conflict with the campus belle in the future. Bai Wuqing looked at the person who did not turn back and did not retract his gaze until the figure disappeared. After a long time, he lowered his head, found a clean rock, and sat on it. After entering the devil sect, Mo Yuntian ordered people to observe Bai Wuqing outside and found that he was actually guarding the entrance of the devil sect. He almost bit his tongue off. He hurriedly threw away the beggar's chicken and rushed to Tang Guo's side. Sister, that guy is still at the entrance of my devil sect. Actually, what he wanted to ask was, Sister, is there really something going on between the two of you? But he also felt that this was a little too direct. Brother Mo, you don't have to bother about him. The main road leads to different directions and it's not the devil sect outside. If he wants to stay, then let him stay. As long as he doesn't find trouble with you. Mo Yuntian found that Tang Guo was really looking at the map he gave her with a serious face. On the map were the locations of the various righteous sects. Tang Guo looked at the map and asked, so the devil sect is not the only devil cultivator. Cough cough. Mo Yuntian almost choked and hurriedly explained, how can the devil sect be the only devil cultivator? Speaking of which, my devil sect is the most reasonable sect in the entire devil cultivator world. We will not kill the innocent. Although we don't like the righteous sects, we will not randomly capture their disciples and refine them for cultivation. Of course Tang Guo knew about this, or else she would not have followed Mo Yuntian back. This immortal cultivation world was more perverted than the average immortal cultivation world. The devil cultivators here, other than the devil sect, were all perverted. No one knew who started it, but the devil cultivator's tonic was the righteous cultivator. They liked the talented disciples of the various sects the most. The better the talent, the better the results after refining. After the original owner's spiritual roots were destroyed, Feng Filing plotted against her and she fell into the hands of a demonic cultivator and became a tonic for cultivation. Although this devil sect belonged to the devil cultivator faction, there were still some differences between them and the real devil cultivators. They were serious cultivators. They had clashed with the righteous sects before, but they wouldn't do something like refining cultivators. The plot did not mention much about Mo Yuntian. It only knew that he was not a demonic cultivator. For some reason, he established a demonic sect and occupied a place that no one cared about. In fact, it was a place that no one cared about. Tangwa pondered for a while, then asked, "Brother Mo, how many disciples do we have in our devil sect? What are their cultivations? What are their cultivation resources?" Attacking other sects was not something that could be done just because they wanted to. Without sufficient confidence, she would not dare to act rashly. This world was more dangerous than she had imagined. There are about 3,000 official disciples. There were quite a few of them. Mo Yuntian continued, about 3,000 of them are below the nascent soul realm. Tang Guo was speechless. With such little strength, they would be killed if they rushed over. "Sister, I can see the disdain in your eyes." The corner of Mo Yuntian's mouth twitched. "Although most of our devil sect's disciples are below the nascent soul realm, other than these 3,000 people, the remaining few hundred people are above the spirit-severing realm. There are about 20 of them who are in the tribulation-passing realm. This was also why the devil sect could stand tall here." Mo Yuntian also dared to challenge the righteous cultivators, and at the same time, he was not afraid of the other sects. Chapter 5:15. After analyzing, Tangwa felt that the current situation was not suitable for attacking and occupying territory, or else it would bring danger to the devil sect. "Big Brother Mo, with the current situation, I think the most important thing is to develop the sect and supervise the disciples' cultivation." Mo Yuntian's expression turned serious. "I think so too. However, the place he occupied was actually a little poor, and the spiritual energy was also relatively thin. Usually, he would let the disciples go out to train if they could, and the spiritual energy outside was denser than here." Hearing this, Tang Guo was shocked once again. "I'm a little doubtful that coming with Mo Yuntian was the worst decision." Tang Guo held her forehead and communicated with the system. "Tongzi, what happened to the mysterious and lofty devil sect master who kills people without blinking an eye? Why do I feel that Mo Yuntian doesn't seem like the devil sect master, but more like a big brother in the mountains?" System host, before Mo Yuntian became a devil cultivator and established the devil sect, he had a very special label on him. He was a good old man, an honest person. Without waiting for Tang Guo to ask, the system automatically answered. There was no introduction in the plot, but these worlds were just so strange. As long as Tang Guo was curious, some plots would automatically be unlocked, and he could check them and tell Tang Guo. This time, Tang Guo really opened her eyes wide, extremely shocked. Good old man honest person Mo Yuntian suddenly realized that his new sworn sister was looking at him with a strange gaze, causing him to feel uncomfortable. He hurriedly asked how they should develop the sect. "Resources. In this situation, the first thing we need to do is to snatch more resources." Mo Yuntian was in a difficult position. Resources are not easy to snatch. The righteous cultivators now are all like thieves, swarming over with just a little bit of news. "If we fight, we might not be able to win." He used to do such things in the past. If he went alone, he could still snatch a lot back, and it was easy to run away. Bringing more people would not be so convenient. For things like resources, it was best to get first-hand information and seize the opportunity to obtain the greatest benefits. "Big Brother Mo, don't worry about this. Next, we will plan to get resources." Tang Guo lowered her head and smiled. Wasn't this the time when Feng Filing was preparing to seize the opportunity of everyone in the cultivation world? Feng Filing was indeed a straightforward, ruthless, and decisive person. For the sake of his own cultivation, and for the sake of not being obstructed by others, he simply took in all the places she once knew, regardless of whether they were useful or not. Unfortunately, she wasn't going to create her own force. Having Wen Ziqiu of the Star Moon sect was enough for her. Before she ascended, she had plundered almost everything in this world, leaving no way for others to survive. Mo Yuntian did not ask why. He subconsciously believed in Tang Guo. Next, he carefully introduced Tang Guo to the entire devil sect. The disciples of the devil sect all knew that their sect master had a new sister that he valued very much. They had to address the saintess as aunt. Mo Yuntian also told them that in the future, he would be the most powerful person in the devil sect, followed by Aunt Saintess. Even the young sect master would be ranked third. Without waiting for the disciples to react, he said that Aunt Saintess was going to take them to fight for resources and develop the sect. The disciples of the devil sect were all excited. Resources, who didn't like it? The way they looked at Aunt Saintess became better and better. Such a good Aunt Saintess, they would definitely provide for her in the future. To be able to take them to fight for resources, her status would naturally be higher than the young sect master. The young sect master did not do proper business all day, and only knew how to revolve around a woman, which was especially boring. Chapter 5:16. Sister, are you sure there are resources here? This time, Mo Yuntian chose 50 disciples and brought along 2 powerhouses in the crossing calamity stage to avoid any other problems. Before them was an endless mountain range. Tang Guo had told them that there would be unimaginable resources here. But this place had thin spirit chi and looked even poorer than the devil sect. There really were resources here. Let's wait. Tang Guo was wearing a spotless white gauze dress and a white bamboo hat that could block divine sense. Mo Yuntian also felt that it was better for her to hide for now. After all, she was involved with the devil sect. If the righteous cultivators saw her, they would definitely suppress her. Tang Guo's idea was different from Mo Yuntian's. She stood at the foot of the mountain and pointed to a location. You take some people and dig from here. Hurry up. We need to get everything in 3 days. Mo Yuntian nodded. Mo Yuntian did not waste any more time and brought his disciples to work. What made Tang Guo speechless was that she saw Mo Yuntian's message in the group. School bell, bring us to fight for resources. At the same time, he also attached a picture. Thus, the group became lively. Sage Ziyun and True Monarch Scarlet Firmament were scolding Mo Yuntian for being shameless. The others also said that they were envious. Mo Yuntian had already started digging, but he could not help but look behind him. There was a cold man who was following them from afar. This guy was actually still following them. Did he not plan to go back? He rubbed his chin and did not care. Since the girl said that she did not care, he was not worried about anything. Tang Guo took out a chair and sat outside. Bai Wuqing had unknowingly walked in front of her. They called you Saintess Aunt. Bai Wuqing was surprised. It had only been a day since they last met. What happened in the devil sect? Tang Guo did not mock him. Yes, I am the devil sect's Saintess Aunt, Mo Yuntian's sworn sister. Bai Wuqing looked at her calm reply and his heart tightened. You joined the devil sect? Yes. You don't have to do this. Xiao Guo, I can help you. In the past 2 days, he had to admit that he regretted it. He regretted that because of a moment of selfishness, he thought that if he didn't help her, she wouldn't pester him in the future and he would have peace of mind. But when she really left, his mind was filled with memories of the time he spent with her all these years. It was actually not that annoying to have a chattering little girl by his side. There's no need. Just watch. I'm fine. Mo Yuntian, this big brother, isn't bad either. Naturally, he knew. Why are you so free? Tang Guo lifted the veil of her bamboo hat and smiled at him. You're a Star Moon sect elder, it's not good for you to stay here all day. Don't you have anything to do in Star Moon sect? The calmer Tang Guo spoke to him, the more upset Bai Wuqing felt. He tried to find something in her eyes, but the unconcealable adoration in her clear eyes had actually disappeared. Bai Wuqing was a little dazed. Could it be that when she said she would take back her feelings for him that day, she really took it back? What are you looking at? Tang Guo asked. Bai Wuqing clenched his fists and shook his head lightly. Nothing. He was looking for something that had once been there. It seemed like it really had disappeared. She put down the veil of her bamboo hat and covered her face. She didn't say anything. He also didn't say anything. He still didn't leave. He didn't know why, but he felt that he should stand here. At the same time, Feng Filing, who was in the Star Moon sect, also set off with the Star Moon sect's disciples. Ling there's no need to be so anxious, Leng Yeling said. Feng Filing was very persistent. No, I have a feeling that there's definitely something good in that place. We have to go there as soon as possible. Chapter 5:17. The disciples originally thought that they would not find anything in this barren mountain. Who would have thought that by the time they reached a depth of more than 10 feet, they would be blinded by the sight before them? It's spirit stones. There's a spirit stone mine here. Sect leader, we found spirit stones. What Aunt Saintess said is true. The disciples were excited, and they dug even faster. Mo Yuntian also went over to dig. Pieces of spirit stones were placed in front of him. He swallowed his saliva. There really are spirit stones here. Swallowing his saliva, he said, hurry up and dig. Let's see how deep it is. Big brother Mo, it's not about how deep we have to dig. We have to dig out all the spirit stones here within 3 days. If we're late, there will be a lot of people coming to snatch them. Tang were reminded. Mo Yuntian hurriedly nodded. Yes, they had to dig it out as soon as possible. He did not do this originally, but this was also the first time he had monopolized a mountain of spirit stones. He was so excited that he forgot to send a picture to the group to show off. He immediately took out his sword and started digging. Tangwa sat on a chair, sipping her tea as she watched Mo Yuntian and the disciples busying themselves. It was a bit like a primary school teacher leading a primary school student to clean up. Everyone was very active. System, what kind of analogy is this? Bai Wuqing watched the entire process, and was not the least bit moved. Tangwa was not surprised. Bai Wuqing was such a person. He was really noble, and these things could not enter his eyes. After spending more than 2 days, this rich spirit stone mine was completely dug out by Mo Yuntian and his disciples. After they finished digging, Tangwa timely said, the mountain has been dug out, so it's easy for it to collapse. Big brother Mo, we took the mountain's resources, and there are many small animals here. If the mountain collapses, they will have no home to return to. Small animals. The disciples were puzzled. When they were digging for spirit stones, they did not see any small animals at all. This mountain was barren, how could it attract small animals? But Aunt Saintess gave them the resources. If she said there were small animals, there would be. The disciples looked at Tangwa seriously. Mo Yuntian was speechless. Embarrassing, it was as if he had never seen spirit stones before. However, when he thought of his bulging wallet, he asked enthusiastically, girl, what do you think we should do? Aren't there a lot of rocks nearby? Tangwa's eyes flashed with mischief. Find some and fill them in. The mountain won't collapse. The disciples of the Devil sect received the order and moved quickly, filling the large hole in the mountain. After receiving Tangwa's praise, their eyes lit up. Only by following Aunt Saintess could they have meat to eat. Mo Yuntian looked at the worshipful gazes of the disciples and really wanted to slap them. Big brother Mo, let's go to another place. Mo Yuntian didn't suspect anything at all. He didn't find it strange that she knew where to find good things. The fact that Feng Filing was a reborn person was even known by her. What was there to be surprised about? When they heard that Tangwa was going to take them to occupy the resources, they were not suspicious at all. They excitedly followed behind Tangwa. After that, all the disciples of the Devil sect looked at Tangwa and called her Aunt Saintess. Their expressions were passionate and grateful, as if she was their second parent. Mo Yuntian had already calmed down. A day later, Tangwa and the others were already very far away from the mountain. Feng Filing brought people and arrived. She didn't explain anything and said to the crowd, dig down. There's a spirit stone mine below. The disciples of the Star Moon sect muttered in their hearts. What kind of spirit stones could there be in this barren mountain? Due to Feng Filing's high status, Sect Master Wen Ziqiu told them to listen to her. Everyone obediently dug. We dug it out. There's something underground. After an hour, a disciple shouted. Chapter 518. When Feng Filing heard that there was something, she quickly rushed over. This was originally a spirit stone mine discovered by a small sect. Because of this spirit stone mine, it caused a fight between sects, resulting in the destruction of that small sect. If she dug it out earlier, it would be a blessing. The corner of Feng Filing's mouth hooked up. She walked over and asked with a bright smile, "Is it a spirit stone?" The Star Moon sect disciple's expression was strange. He took out a smooth goose egg stone. "Senior Feng, it's not a spirit stone, but a goose egg stone." Although they were both stones, there was a huge difference between the two. Goose egg stone. Feng Filing was stunned for a moment. How is that possible? She subconsciously said. She clearly remembered that there should be spirit stones here. Is it because you didn't dig the place? She only knew that there were spirit stones here. As for how deep and where it was, she didn't know. She was a bit irritable. It was fine if there was nothing, but if they dug out all goose egg stones, that would be too shameful. She had told everyone that there would definitely be spirit stones here. The Star Moon sect disciple didn't say it, but he was actually a bit dissatisfied. However, Feng Filing had always been arrogant. With the protection of the Devil sect's young sect master and their sect master, as well as her strength being at the nascent soul stage, not many people dared to provoke her. She was really arrogant and high profile. Feng Filing didn't believe it and let everyone continue digging. In the end, they dug out a large pile of stones. There were all kinds of strange shapes and sizes. Not to mention, it looked pretty good when laid out. Feng Filing's expression wasn't so good. She stood gloomily at the side and stared at the pile of stones, fiercely clenching her fists. "Ling there shouldn't be any spirit stones here." Lung Yeling patted her shoulder to comfort her. "If you really lack spirit stones, you can ask me." Feng Filing was uncomfortable. She didn't know who was the first to dig out the spirit stones and fill the hole with stones. She didn't suspect that there were other people who were reborn. If there really were, they would definitely be like her and wouldn't disappear into the crowd. It was most likely because her rebirth was too different from her previous actions, which caused some changes in fate. She had heard of reborn people before. A reborn person could change the fate of countless people and the direction of things. Enough. Stop digging, let's go to another place. She knew many places with good resources. She wanted to take them all. As for those geniuses who appeared later in the world of cultivation, it was better not to appear. Anyway, they all had some grudges with her. If they used these resources, they would still be killed by her. That would be a waste of resources. It would be better to have all the resources in her hands from the beginning. "Sister, they're all going to be transplanted." Mo Yuntian looked at the large patch of spirit herbs in front of him. "Can they survive? If they can't, why don't we just leave them here and send people to guard them?" Many of these spiritual herbs had not matured yet. If there was a problem with the transplanting, it would be a real pity. Ask the disciples to dig it out. When we return to the sect, I will cultivate it. Mo Yuntian thought of Tang Guo's ability and no longer hesitated. He ordered his disciples to dig up all the spiritual herbs, including their roots, without leaving a single stalk behind. What a joke. Why should he leave it behind? They were the ones who discovered it. While they were digging for the spiritual herbs, Tang Guo was at the side flipping some withered grass seeds and shaking them into a box. Mo Yuntian did not understand why, but Bai Wuqing could not help but remind him, "We need to scatter it here to hasten the growth." Mo Yuntian, what the fuck, you can still do this. Chapter 519. If such a large patch of spirit herbs is taken away, this place will be completely bare. It won't look good. Tang Guo didn't think there was anything wrong with her words. "I'll just scatter some wild grass seeds here. It'll look green and won't stand out too much." Mo Yuntian was speechless. Bai Wuqing was speechless. He had never noticed that Xiao Guo had so many sides to her. Her eyes were clearly filled with evil intentions, but she had to make the reasons sound so elegant and refined. He suddenly felt that talking too much and having evil intentions wasn't a big deal. In fact, it was even more attractive. In the past, he didn't seem to understand her. He didn't expect her to be such a lively person. Once the spirit herbs were all dug up, Tang Guo instructed all the disciples to scatter the wild grass seeds into the ground. Now I'll teach you how to cultivate the seeds. Mo Yuntian's eyes lit up. So that's how it was. He knew that the school beauty wouldn't do anything useless. Their devil sect's location was a bit poor. If they could cultivate some spirit herbs, it wouldn't be impossible to change the environment and transform it into a holy land for cultivation. The devil sect's disciples were all clever. When they heard that Aunt Saintess was going to teach them how to cultivate spirit herbs, their ears perked up. Next, they began to experiment with the wild grass. After 2 days, the place where the spirit herbs had been harvested was filled with uneven weeds. Some were short, some were lush, but they all had one thing in common. They were all green and looked especially beautiful from afar. Tang Guo praised, "Not bad. Let's return to the devil sect first and replant the spirit herbs before coming back out." The disciples were all eager to try. They felt that following Aunt Saintess was more honorable than following the sect master. Mo Yuntian was already used to it. He was also excited. He didn't care what Tang Guo's intentions were. He waved his hand and led the disciples back to the devil sect. Naturally, Bai Wuqing also followed. When they reached the devil sect's location, he didn't follow them. He chose a clean rock and sat there. Mo Yuntian's eyelids twitched. This fellow wouldn't always be like this, right? He saw that Tang Guo didn't mind. Thinking of Bai Wuqing's arrogance, he asked, "Elder Bai, do you want to sit inside?" "Sure." Bai Wuqing asked Mo Yuntian, but his eyes were fixed on Tang Guo's back. Mo Yuntian hesitated. When I said this, the girl didn't object. She shouldn't mind. Bai Wuqing actually wanted to go in as well. The more he understood her, the more he didn't want to leave. He nodded, accepting Mo Yuntian's kind intentions. After that, Mo Yuntian ran to the spiritual plant garden and told her about this matter. Tang Guo really didn't have much of a reaction. Bai Wuqing was indeed a quiet person. It did not matter where he stayed as long as he did not bother her. When the disciples of the sect heard about the experiences of those who had gone out, they were filled with regret. If they had known earlier, they would have enthusiastically signed up and gone out with Aunt Saintess to broaden their horizons. When Tang Guo taught them how to transplant spirit plants and cultivate spirit plants, all the interested disciples of the devil sect came to learn. Bai Wuqing wanted to get to know her better, so he followed the crowd and watched. Among the excited disciples, his spotless white robe was very conspicuous. When they saw Bai Wuqing staring at Tang Guo with a burning gaze, they only treated him as an admirer of their holy maiden aunt and didn't pay much attention to him. This time, they discussed together for 10 days. At the end of the discussion, all the spirit plants they brought back were successfully transplanted, except for the damaged ones. More than half of them were transplanted by themselves. They felt a great sense of accomplishment. At this time, Tang Guo's position in their hearts rose another level. Chapter 520. How can this be? Feng Filing looked at the lush weeds, and her eyes almost popped out. She didn't remember wrongly. Wasn't this originally a field of spiritual herbs? There were some aged ones, but there weren't many. Most of them weren't mature enough, but they were relatively rare spiritual herbs. What's going on with this field of lush weeds? She clenched her fists tightly, and there was a feeling of depression in her heart. During this time, she found that the convenience of being reborn had really disappeared without a trace. All the places she thought had good things were either replaced by stones, or there was no such place at all, or the things were taken away by someone else. But the fact that these weeds replaced the spiritual herbs still made her extremely angry. God didn't like her so much. He let her be reborn, but he didn't give her the chance to know the secrets of heaven, and he even made these things disappear. Senior Sister Feng, it's been almost a month, but we haven't found anything. Is the information you got wrong? Is someone deceiving you? In fact, the disciples were very dissatisfied, but they couldn't offend Feng Filing. No matter how much Feng Filing didn't want to admit it, she had to admit that it might be God who prevented her from seizing these opportunities, so many things changed. Although she was unwilling in her heart, she couldn't continue to lead people to search. It seemed that she had to wait for time to find those resources in the future. Luck and fate were mysterious and wonderful. Because she was reborn, she valued these more. The more she thought about it, the worse her expression became. This feeling of being targeted by God was really not good. Feng Filing didn't accept her fate. She even had a feeling that one day, she would poke a hole in this sky. Seeing Feng Filing give up, Leng Yeling also breathed a sigh of relief. Ling what do you plan to do next? I haven't returned to the sect for a long time, so I plan to go back. Then you go back. Feng Filing didn't care about Leng Yeling. Even if she liked him a little, it was only a little. She only liked herself. Leng Yeling's eyes were a little dim, but he didn't give up. I'll come to see you again after a while. Feng Filing was depressed in her heart. Not only because things weren't going well recently, but also because she found out that Tang Guo had disappeared, and the things she wanted to plan were delayed. She was very unhappy. Most importantly, in the past 3 years, her cultivation had not improved at all. She had been so eager to seize opportunities because she wanted to find a way to break through her cultivation through these opportunities. Now that she knew she was being targeted by the heavens, how could she be in a good mood? Leng Yeling also returned to the Devil Sect with a gloomy mood. He suddenly realized that all the Devil Sect disciples were walking back and forth with smiles on their faces. It was very strange. Young Sect Master, you're back. Leng Yeling nodded. Where is Master? The sect leader went out. Leng Yeling didn't mind and continued walking towards his residence. I wonder what kind of surprise the Saintess will bring us this time. Aunt Saintess is so powerful. I feel like she knows everything. Right now, the person I admire the most in my sect is Aunt Saintess. Leng Yeling walked back, grabbed a disciple and asked, who is the Saintess aunt? He felt that he had missed out on something after leaving the Devil Sect. That disciple saw that Leng Yeling was confused and suddenly remembered that young sect master didn't know about this matter. Aunt Saintess is the sect leader's adopted sister. Young sect master, didn't the sect leader inform you about this? No. Leng Yeling's expression didn't look good. Since when did master have an adopted sister? He didn't have any complaints about master having an adopted sister, but the problem was that master didn't inform him about this. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.